Hello everyone and welcome into our latest live video. Today it is the 14th of August, just about halfway through the month. 2026, it's Friday. Hope everybody had a great week and I have a good weekend ahead of us. And as you can see, I still have this big monster on the table here because, well, I'll tell you about that in a minute. First, I want to remind you about our friends over at VIP-URCDKEys. It's where I buy my Windows and Office licenses for my business, for my clients. And I just had to buy a key for this one because it lost its key for some reason. And I suppose, well, I could probably dig back through the receipts. I probably purchased it from VIP-URCDKEys, but I can't remember. But for the 20 bucks or whatever it is, I just bought a new one and activated it straight off, and it's fine now. So it's up to you. You know, they do guarantee their keys, and you can reach out to their support if you have any problems, at least within the first 6 months of purchase. That was also part of my thought process, was that this has been sitting for like 14 months since the last time I turned it on, and it's possible someone stole the key. They could just guess keys, and if it just happens to match yours and they're able to activate it, yours will stay activated until a major change. And my guess is that's probably what happened, is someone guessed the key. They don't know who it belongs to. And when then they activate it, they took the activation away from this one. But this one didn't know that until we did a major change. I think it was a BIOS update. And that's my theory. I mean, I really don't know what happened, but it's not worth my time to take it any further. So anyway, it's all activated now. And I've left it up here because there's a little story I want to tell you about changing the BIOS battery. But I did want to let you know that if you're interested in purchasing a Windows or Office license key, if I show you this video we did a few months ago, any video I do live, if you scroll down and you'll see here where it says more, click on more. That's our video description, our notes. There's every link that we discuss in the video in these notes, as well as these product keys. Now, you don't have to use these links. You can just go to the site yourself and search. This is to save you time. It'll take you right there. There's no affiliate link here. I don't make any commission. Once you're there, you would hit the buy now button when you're on the product you want to buy, and it's going to ask you to sign in. If you don't have an account, it's free to create one. You've got to have an account so they know who to send the product key and the receipt to, like any other online purchase. Once you've done that, if you want to save 25% off the price everybody else pays, put my name in the promo code, Carey, and then hit apply. And you'll see that price go down by 25%. You don't have to do that either. Again, it's not a commission-based link. This is all for you. Hit the submit order button and you have a variety of ways to pay. And once you select whatever way you want to pay, you will then hit the pay now button, and it'll take you through whatever screen is associated with that payment method. And within about 2 minutes, you're going to get an email to whatever email you just registered with them, and or had previously registered with them. And that email will have your download link to the product, which I don't use because I already have my own Windows installer. You'll also have your instructions, which I don't need because I know how to install. And then, of course, the thing that you paid for, the activation key. And that's it. If you have any problems, they have 24/7 tech support. Reach out if you have any problems to their chat that's on their website, and they'll get you taken care of. I promise they will, because if they don't, you let me know about it, and I'll either get you up and running with what you paid for, or I will personally give you your money back. That's how strongly I believe that, you know, I have no control over how they operate their business and the decisions that they make, but they have proven to me through time and experience that they always do the right thing. And if there is a situation where you believe they're not, you reach out to me and let me know, please, because I need to know about it and I want to make it right. I need you to know that you can buy with 100% confidence, even if I have to give you your money back personally. That's how strongly I feel about it. I don't think there's any other YouTube content creator willing to put themselves on the line like that. So take advantage of it if you want to, or buy somewhere else and roll the dice and hope for the best. It's your choice. Again, it's not a commission-based link, so no pressure for me. So getting back over to this system, this is the big server system. When Patrick from Serve the Home moved to Arizona, he had the big server shipped to him, and it wasn't packed properly. and UPS handled it like it was a hot potato, and it was significantly damaged. And I'm a fan of the Serve the Home YouTube page, and I reached out to Patrick. I was eager to meet him, quite honestly, and if there's anything I can do for him, maybe I can fix the server up. And what it turned out was the case was significantly bent and warped. The motherboard had capacitors ripped off of it because the video card broke free, which also broke the video card free. Everything else was okay. So I grabbed a new case. I bought the exact same motherboard, a $2,000 Asus Threadripper board. And I pulled the drives off of that he had in there because he wanted the drives back while I was working on it. But I put it back the way it was. Same video card even. I bought this 3090 Founders Edition refurbished. The motherboard brand new. Now on a $2,000 motherboard, you'd think that must be a really nice board, you know. This is why I don't like Asus products. What's happened is Asus has a board that's, let's just think about this now, for $2,000, this is a very high-end specialized motherboard. And what I see the engineers at Asus doing constantly is they're always overthinking, overcomplicating, and trying to do things without any imagination. Like they just have zero, their engineers are, from my opinion anyway, are stubborn in doing things for other engineers. So like if you're an engineer, you might like Asus products because they're quite literal and unimaginative in their designs, in my opinion. So what does that mean? Well, typically, if you have to replace a BIOS battery on a motherboard, it's exposed. It's a button cell battery. You pop it out, you pop a new one in, and you're done. So you think on a $2,000 board they'd make it even easier, right? No, they made it the hardest, most complicated battery swap out process you could possibly imagine. I think you'll agree with me. Here's why. I thought the battery would be sort of on the board underneath this video card, and after the show on Wednesday I pulled the video card out and saw there was no battery there. Uh-oh, or is it? This motherboard is very, very heavy, and it has tons of connections along this side, along the bottom, and it's designed to have a lot of cards plugged into it. It even comes with a NVMe expansion card or two. So you would have a ton of things plugged in, and then likely you'd have a lot of things plugged in the back. We also have a number of fans, the rear fan, 3 front fans, 3 radiator fans for our cooler. Then you've got a fan on the power supply and a fan on the video card. This is a serious beast of a system that is designed to take on an enormous workload that's probably pretty high priority. So I would think, as an engineer, that if I were an engineer, that we want to make this very, very serviceable very quickly so it has very little downtime, because whatever this is doing is likely pretty important for somebody to spend this kind of money. That's not what Asus did. Asus did the opposite. So if you look here, we have an I/O shield. So this is where everything plugs in on the I/O. And right here, I don't know how well the camera can pick it up. I don't know if I could grab a flashlight and maybe improve on this view for you a little bit. There's an I/O shield. I'm going to just shine the light on it right there. It's really bright. That covers the top of all the I/O ports. It's purely decorative. Okay, it doesn't need to be there. This is not supposed to be a showpiece. This is supposed to be a workhorse, not a show horse. So the battery isn't a standard battery. It's something you'd see in laptops or mini PCs. It's one of these soldered, wired, it's got a wrapping around it and it plugs in, and it's underneath that I/O shield. So to get the I/O shield out, there are 2 screws on the back of the motherboard, but to get to the back of the motherboard, you have to take the motherboard out. So to take the motherboard out, all those connections I mentioned that go all along across the bottom, across the edge over here, there's a lot of wires. Over here, tons of wires. You got to take the video card out. Any other cards have to come out. You might have to take the cooler off. You might have to remove these fans, in this case designed to get the motherboard out because it's so big. You could blame, you know, poor case choice if you want to. Once you get all that out, then there's two little screws that hold the I/O cover on. You take the I/O cover off. There's two screws, one on each side, real tiny, back of the motherboard. The I/O cover just comes right off. There's your battery. So I take this battery out. Now, regardless if this battery is bad or not, if I've done all that work, I'm changing the damn battery. I put this on my battery tester. It has a plastic shrink wrap around it, so I took the plastic shrink wrap off of it. And I put it, that's my battery charger. I put it on my battery tester, and the battery tester doesn't even recognize I'd put a battery on it. It thinks I'm just putting a bare piece of metal. It is flat dead, like it's back to returning itself to the earth. It's doesn't even have a 0.0001 volt left in it. It doesn't even have enough to light up the LED. It's just like a piece of metal. But regardless, it was getting replaced. And luckily, you know, I bought a 10-pack of these batteries for Mini PCs from Amazon. And the original ones I bought had a different connector, so I had to buy them again. This was thanks to a good viewer, a good friend of the show, Frankie B. He had a bad battery in a Minisform laptop, Minisform Mini PC. So I went and I ordered a new battery, and it turns out the connector was wrong. This connector is called a Molex connector. And every single battery I've switched out on any laptop, Mini PC, or even this big motherboard, all universally use the Molex connector. The batteries I initially bought, very similar, same battery, different connector. I haven't found anything that works with it. I don't know why they sell them. So I kept them just in case. This is now the sixth one out of those 10 I bought. I'm glad I bought 10 because I have 4 left now. Then I had to put the screws back in, put the motherboard back on, secure the board back in, hook all the wires back up, tons and tons of wires across the bottom, across the edges. This is a very high-end board. And all ASUS had to do two things on a $2,000 motherboard that could have saved them money and made for a better experience. The engineers know those batteries last an average of 5 years, sometimes only 4 years, depending on how old the battery was when they put it in, right? If the battery sat on a shelf in inventory before it got put onto a board, it's got 1 year less than it had. Since you don't know, you plan for the future. You know that battery is going to have to be changed sooner or later, regardless. So an access door placed on top of the I/O shield, all I would have had to do is remove the access door, pull the battery out, put the new one in. That easy. Even using this style of battery, which, you know, again, I've not seen that on a normal motherboard. That's usually reserved for laptops and Mini PCs. It makes no sense here. Even better still is if they just had the regular socket for the battery to sit in, and you don't have to buy proprietary wiring, pre-wired batteries. You just pop the battery in like a $65, well, I guess I can't say that anymore, like a $150 motherboard. All universally just have a pop-in battery. A $2,000 motherboard, they made it as difficult, as complicated. Like, who's got these laying around? You're not going to go to Walmart and pick one of these up. You can pick up the battery, but not that wiring. So you go to Amazon, that's all I know. Go to Amazon to buy them. So I hope you have some on hand, or your server is going to be apart for some time. Like if you take this whole thing apart, and there's no disassembly videos on YouTube showing this. They don't exist. If I'm wrong, please share with me a link, because I can't find one. This is a very long process. Very, very long process. And you need to be careful how you take the parts out, where you set the parts down. You don't want to knock them over. You don't want to static shock them. Every part in this computer is worth a lot of money. So you better go slow, and you better be careful, and you better be mindful. And I don't have a big bench here to be laying out a bunch of parts. So, you know, and then when you're working on it, things like the screen up here, you'll start moving the computer, and then this will fall off. All right, let's take that off. And then there's one on the bottom. Let's take that off. And before you know it, you've got this huge area of parts that's only outside of the case momentarily before you have to put it all right back in again. But you don't want to knock them over, and you don't want to put them somewhere where, you know, any damage could occur for any reason. And also make mental notes as you're putting it back together where everything went. It's a lot to remember. This board has more connections on it. I'd say 3 times more wiring on this board than a standard board. And it's supposed to. It's a high-end board. Now, this decorative piece could have just simply been left off. They never needed to put it on. Who cares if you can see the top of the I/O ports from inside of the case? It's not a show horse, it's a workhorse. So I was on the fence about even putting it back on because who cares? You could just reach in and pop the battery out in the future and pop a new one in. You wouldn't have to do a damn thing other than take the side panel off. But the engineers are so smart at ASUS, it never occurred to them to do that. That's how smart they are. They're so smart and they're so intelligent that the most obvious and easy thing that you're going to have to do in the future never occurred to them. Never, not once, did they ever think about it. And yet, this is one of the single most expensive motherboards you can buy for them. It is also one of the single most difficult boards to work with and one of the single most difficult boards I've ever worked on to maintain. Top dollar, more work, bad design, disrespectful, and this is unacceptable. Thankfully, I had that 10-pack I bought, right? Because when Frankie needed a battery, I thought, well, there's probably a few others I'm going to need, maybe 3 more. So I just ordered the 10-pack. Boy, am I glad I ordered it. I only have 4 left. That's how many I went through since Frankie's repair. I might be having to order another 10-pack soon. But this is fully expected on a mini PC or a laptop. I fully expect this. Not in a $2,000 motherboard. And certainly shouldn't have to take the whole thing completely, and I mean 100% disassembly. Apart from maybe leaving the radiator and the power supply in, everything else comes out. So I think if I still own this by the time this next battery dies, I'm just going to leave the I/O cover off. It's really stupid. The I/O cover, it says for IT pros. I think what they mean is the IT pros take that off and keep it. It's for them. It's not for the motherboard. It's the only way it makes any sense is if you're an IT pro, you'll know to remove that and throw it into the garbage can or put it on your shelf as a collector's item because you're an IT pro and you know. The people who built it are saying, hey, if you don't know any better, then you can disassemble this whole thing in a few years when the battery will 100% guaranteed die. And you can either live with it dead because you don't want to even think about taking all of this complex system apart and possibly damaging the RAM or damaging the motherboard itself. It's a heavy motherboard. That motherboard weighs like 10 pounds. It's heavy. Single heaviest, most expensive motherboard. I'm venting. I'm pissed off. I feel disrespected. I feel like they think I'm an idiot. And I feel like they don't care. So when I can buy a $150 board with a plain old CR2032 button cell battery that can pop out and be replaced in about 6 seconds, why is a $2,000 board a much more difficult job? And why is there a decorative cover on a business class machine that isn't meant to be even seen? It usually goes into a room, a closet with a locked door and the lights out. Who's going to look at that cover? It's the dumbest. This is the engineering mindset that the people at ASUS hires. It doesn't make any sense except to them. Normal, ordinary people who think like a normal, ordinary person, it's almost like you're dealing with somebody who's got a learning disability. Like they're almost like a level of autism where it's the only way I can explain it. Like I'm just trying to make sense of this. There must be a level of autism where they don't consider regular maintenance during the initial design. They just want to make the initial design as perfect as they can make it and not think about what happens to the owners years later after you've bought it. And this is a flagship product. Otherwise, how else could you explain it? I'd love to know, because that's the best I could come up with. So if you don't see a lot of ASUS products anymore, I've had this issue from day one. Yes, they make good products, in my opinion, but I try to avoid them. Not that everything they do is bad. There's a lot of innovation that comes out from ASUS, which is industry leading and is often copied. But what's interesting is the copies of the ASUS stuff tends to take all the sharp corners off. So if another motherboard maker like Gigabyte or MSI or ASRock copies an ASUS design, they always make it more user-friendly, 100% of the time. I've never seen, well, I won't say never. ASUS has some really clever designs that I think are still leading the pack, but it's offset by, you know, memory sockets being labeled A1, A2, B1, B2. Every motherboard from ASUS you look at is uniquely labeled in a way no other motherboard manufacturer will mimic. So if you're going to put 2 RAM sockets in an ASUS motherboard, do you use slots A1 and B1 or A1 and A2? No, neither of those. It doesn't fit any sort of normal human common sense. So if you have 2 memory sockets and you've got 4 memory sockets and you're going to put 2 memory modules in any ASUS motherboard, any one of them, what are the first 2 sockets you're supposed to use? Can anybody tell me? You've got A1 and A2 and B1 and B2. So do they go in A1 and A2? No. Do they go in A1 and B1? No. Do you know why this makes sense? Because if you understand the way the data is flowing on the motherboard, then the way they've labeled it is technically accurate, which is great if you're an engineer using the board. But if you're not an engineer, it doesn't make any sense. They could have just as easily named the sockets 1, 2, 3, 4. That would have been normal, plain English. But they didn't do that because it doesn't occur to them to think that way. They don't know how. There's no other excuse. They're so smart, they're stupid. So if you want to Google that and find out where the memory sockets go, it is not B1 and B2. That is also incorrect. Anybody want to Google that and say what the proper 2 sockets are you're supposed to use? Any motherboard from ASUS, as long as it's a micro ATX or ATX board, DDR4 or 5 doesn't matter. It's the same. It's been the same for years. No other motherboard manufacturer does this. It makes no sense except to the technical people who understand the reasons why. A2 and B2, says John Williams. You got it. A2 and B2. It's the dumbest thing. Who would ever think, looking at the board, that you use, first of all, that I would think you combine A1 and A2. I would think you combine B1 and B2. And they could have labeled it that way. They could have said A1 and then B1 and then A2 and then B2, right? Or the other way around, so that the first set of sockets could be A1 and A2. Simple. But no, that's not technically accurate because that's not the way the engineering schematics identify them, and therefore they don't want to be inaccurate. Like the consumer would know the difference. It is so preposterous. You know who else does that? Nobody. MSI does not do that. Gigabyte does not do that. ASRock does not do that. You know, Gigabyte will say DIM 1, DIM 2, DIM 3, DIM 4. Rocket science, right? And if they say use 1 and 3 or 2 and 4, that's fine. But they've really muddied the waters with the A1, A2, B1, B2 because they're separating the channels and they're separating the banks into pairs that are separated. And it's like, holy cow, I understand that's the technical schematic. So if I was an engineer and you were building a motherboard for me, I get it. But if I'm a consumer and you're selling to consumers and this is your mindset, it is creating a very difficult time for many consumers who can't make heads or tails of your logic because they're not engineers. So again, it's not that I have a problem with the quality of ASUS. I think they're good quality stuff. I don't like the language and the lack of future thoughtfulness they put into their products, specifically here, covering up the battery so it's not accessible, requiring the board to be removed so the I/O cover can be removed, and then on top of that, using a laptop style or mini PC style battery, which is not commonly found at a local store. So you're probably going to have to order it over the mail and wait, and your system will not be working until you get your replacement. That is, I can't think of a worse design other than if it catches fire, but I probably shouldn't say that out loud. All right, I had to get that off my chest. I am so ticked off This is a ridiculous amount of work. So when I ended the show Wednesday, I thought, I'm going to pop this video card out and I'll change that battery after the show. So I popped the video card out. There's no battery there. And I'm like, uh-oh, where is it? I do some Google searching. And I say, okay, so I realize it's behind the I/O shield. I'm trying to find a video on where it is. Nobody's got a video on it, not even ASUS. Okay, well, I read the description. I understand what needs to be done. I wasn't really in the mood for it. So I ended up, having dinner, relaxing a little bit, and came back down here and started taking out screws and unplugging wires, and then took a break and said, I'll do this tomorrow. So Thursday, I know I didn't have anything going on other than tech support, some remote access, some phone calls. So I said, okay, I'll do this, tomorrow. I'll pick it up tomorrow. So throughout the day, Thursday, I would come down here, I'd do some work, got the board out, take a break for an hour or two, come back down, take the I/O cover off, take the battery out, put the new battery in, put the I/O cover back on, then go do something else. Like I would work 20, 30 minutes at a time. I do pace myself because I knew I had all night Wednesday and all day Thursday. This didn't get done until last night. I would just do it in modular pieces and I'd have to take a break. My hands were getting sore. Thankfully, I didn't lose any screws. Everything was kept organized. And I didn't want to put it off anyway because then you forget where the screws go. So I needed to do it before I got too distracted on other things. So I just started piece by piece, putting it all back together. And then when I had left the video card, I stopped. I said, okay, I'll do that later. And so it was about 2 o'clock in the morning last night. And I was like, all right, I think I'll go ahead and put the video card in, rerun the cabling, because it had to be all tucked away to get the motherboard out. The cables were in the way. So I have to go fish them out the other side and push them back through. And all right, so ultimately it probably could have been done in 3 or 4 hours, but I just spread that 3 or 4 hours out over the course of a day and a half. I just paced myself, no stress, no pressure. When I started to get annoyed, I just stopped. I said, well, everything I've done is less I have to do later, whether it was taking it apart or putting it together. I didn't need to take it all apart at once. I did not need to put it all back together at once. I had a good 30 hours to do this. So I just paced myself, relaxed, waited till I was in the mood. The minute I wasn't in the mood anymore, I stopped. Go watch TV for a while, answer some emails, I don't know, whatever. Come back down, do a little bit more. Because it's mine, there's no customer waiting. And as I mentioned, thank goodness I have all the batteries. So, how was your day? Stupid. I promise you, if I have to take this apart again to change the battery again, that I/O cover's staying off, because if that I/O cover either secured from the top, had a little door on it that you could open, even if it was secured with a screw or a latch, whatever, or wasn't there at all, I wouldn't need to take the board out. I could just reach in, pop the battery out, and it'd be a very simple 3-minute fix. It's 3 to 6 minutes, you're done. So today's video, we're going to talk about the greed in the industry we're seeing right now, because it's getting crazy. Just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, if we look at Amazon here, everybody's jumping on the big ticket items like, let's see, check this out. GMK Tech has multiple machines that are extraordinarily expensive. And they're not selling many of them, but you've also got to know the profit margin on just selling one of those is likely the same amount of money or more they make on selling 10 or 20 mini PCs to the regular folks. So they don't need to sell as many of those to make as much money, or even potentially to make more money. And they're not the only ones doing it. We're big fans of GMK Tech. We like them. And we can't blame them. Everybody's doing it. Nemo, who we've been promoting for being a very budget-friendly brand, has a $3,500 AI PC. Minis Forum, not to be left out, they've got a $3,400 AI mini PC too. But I would say the difference with Minis Forum is they're not exclusively known for being a budget brand. They're known for being a brand that has everything. I'd be disappointed if Minis Forum didn't do it, because they do everything else. Why wouldn't they do that too? And maybe that's what these other companies are trying to do, or maybe they're just jumping on the bandwagon to grab some of that big cash with higher profit margins, since the lower priced machines, which are being bought in mass, there's not much money to be made on them. And then on top of that, when you add in the cost of any support or warranty, they're losing money on the sales at that point if support or warranty comes in. Now, when we talk about what are the best selling computers, I can tell you, as an American, it doesn't matter what the product is. It could be a superior product or an inferior product. Americans in general only buy what's cheapest. That's the #1 first priority. So if I take you back here to Amazon and we search for, let's just say, Mini PCs up here, okay? I want you to take a guess what the most popular Mini PC is. Is it the best one? Is it the best value? Is it the best performance? So we're under best, let's go over here, best sellers, right? Where it says sort by, best sellers. You want to guess what the best sellers are? First of all, these are not sponsored results, okay? So Camrui AK1 Plus, which is a very old Celeron 5095. Let's open up a browser here and say, when did Celeron N5095 release? That chip came out 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago. That's why it's so cheap, and that's why so many people bought it. Over 500 of these in the last month. Then you've got your Apple cult people, and they're going to buy regardless of the price because it's Apple. That makes sense. Over 300 of these have been bought in the last month. Now we go to the obsolete equipment. This is a Core i5 6500. So the Core i5 6500 was released about 12 years ago, maybe longer. $2015. So yeah, that puts us at 2015, 2016. That puts us at about 12 years ago, right? Because 2015 starts as year 1, 2016 starts as year 2. So you're looking at a chip that, regardless is 11 or 12 years old, is barely worth anything. And I think people are buying it because it has this 3050 small form factor video card in it. And maybe they're buying it for the video card. But it's actually, it's not a video card, it's just a model number. The Dell Optiplex 3050 does not say it's got a 3050 RTX graphics card, or it would sell for a lot more than this. I don't know how many of these get returned, but that's a little confusing. So this is using onboard video on the chip. It's only got 16 gigs of RAM, it's only got a 256 gig solid state drive, and it's probably not even NVMe, it's probably just a SATA drive. $177, over 500 bought in the last month. As you scroll down, you'll see the ones that sell for the cheapest are the ones that sell the most. There's very little profit. If Gatorly is selling this Ryzen 5 3500, which came out, about 9 years ago, I think, Ryzen 5 3500 came out when? 7 years ago, right? And they're selling the whole thing for on sale right now, $233.99, and that's going to come with the same 16 gigs of RAM, a bigger drive that's also NVMe than that Dell we were looking at for $176. It's only about $60 more, and this is Windows 11 compatible. This is not, but AMD no longer supports graphics drivers for this chip, so you can find them archived, but you're going to have to put a little work into it unless Gatorly's website provides them to you. But again, over 300 bought in the last month. So we're seeing an extraordinary amount of greed in this industry because the general consumers are buying the cheapest thing. They know this. It's been this way forever. Beta was far better than VHS, but Sony was so greedy that when VHS royalties were pennies and Sony's royalties, if you wanted to make a Betamax player, a VCR or recorder, a camcorder, you had to pay Sony a big chunk of royalty money. But if you made it VHS, you didn't have to pay the royalties anywhere near as much. And since a lot of companies picked up the design and started making VHS VCRs, and the price of the tapes were cheaper because, again, there wasn't the royalty, the high tax royalty that Sony puts on their own design. The customers, the population and the culture bought the VHS VCR because it was cheaper. When you have so many manufacturers competing, it brings the prices down. When it's only Sony, there's no competition. And if you want to compete with Sony, you have to pay them a royalty where Sony is probably going to beat your price and be the cheaper offering after you're done paying the royalty. And if you're a consumer, why would you pay $400 for something you could get for $300? There's significant royalties being paid to Sony. And some people will say, yeah, but the Beta was a better quality. Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody, when I say nobody, the average consumer going in to buy. Hold on, let's just verify this. Let's go back to window capture, because I know this from memory, but I don't know it exactly. Let's go to how many VHS VCRs sold compared to Beta. Now I know I misspelled it, but you don't have to worry about that. It knows what I mean. It vastly outsold Betamax. Well, Betamax sold fewer than 20 million units around the planet. VHS captured a dominant 90% market share. 90. For every one Betamax sold, 9 VHS VCRs were sold. 1-to-9 ratio. But the Betamax was better. Nobody cares. Did you know back in the 1800s, the late 1800s, you could have bought, here, let's just do this. Gas car versus steam versus electric in late 1800s. Which sold better? Which one was cheaper? Steam power cars sold best, followed by electric vehicles. Gasoline cars were a distant third until Henry Ford made the Model T so affordable. But right here, why steam led in sales? It was mature, reliable, and it was also dangerous. If it blew up on you, too much pressure built up, you could die. Electric was a close second. This is over 100 years ago, you could buy an electric car. So then the question becomes, when did gas cars become more popular than steam or electric, and why? Were they better? They were cheaper. Between 1905 and just 5 years, gas cars were outselling their rivals, and by 1910, it was the overwhelming industry standard. So basically, this mass production lowered prices. People bought on price. The gas car was smelly, it was unreliable, it was loud. The steam engine and the electric were none of that. But this was cheaper. That's what people bought, the cheaper one. So here we go. When you're selling something cheap, you've got to sell it in mass, you've got to sell it in bulk, and you're going to make profit through quantity. So you're going to make a little tiny amount over a large number of sales. But if you're selling something very, very expensive like a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, you're only going to sell a handful of them, but the amount of money you're going to make on each sale will equal that of dozens or hundreds of ordinary consumer vehicles. That's what these companies are doing. That's what we see from Nemo. That's what we see from the example I gave from GMK Tech and why they're doing it. There's a lot more profit in it for them, but they won't sell as many. All right. So when we talk about the greed, then we can also follow through with the AI companies competing against each other. And one of the things I think is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Let me come back over here. Let me just show you. A lot of people are freaking out because here, let's go down here. Is AI watermarking its results? So let's say you ask AI a question and then you copy and paste the answer. Let's say you're writing a thesis for college. Your professor could theoretically check to see if you've copied and pasted your thesis right out of AI. So yes, major AI companies watermark the results. So when we say a watermark, you're usually thinking of a logo. But the watermark is invisible. So then how do you know it's there? And the way it works is they've built systems that, picking the AI's word choices, they might choose a word frequently instead of the word often, for example, based on a secret mathematical pattern like a credit score. But here's the problem. So can you detect it? Well, here's the problem. These AI companies don't work together. Anthropic, OpenAI, Meta, XAI, DeepSeek, none of these, they're all competing for your business. And the way that they watermark is unique proprietary standard that only they do. So you would have to test something with some piece of software from every possible AI source. Like if all you're worried about is did they copy and paste it from a specific AI, and if there was such a way for you to check it, which as far as I know does not yet exist, this appears to be preposterous, ridiculous, and a fear-mongering to scare people, because no one can demonstrate this to me. They can show me examples like in theory, but I want to see where I can copy some AI answer, put it into a program, and have that program tell me if that was written with the watermark or not. That doesn't exist. They say it does. They say it does. We have it. We're just not giving it to anybody. So then maybe it doesn't really exist. There are no public AI text detect. And even if there were, how Anthropic does it versus how OpenAI does, it's different as how VHS and Beta are. They don't collaborate with each other. They're mortal enemies of each other. So how they resolve it means you would need a program that would check every single unique algorithm, if this is true, to identify it. And then even when it identifies it, all you have to do is change a few words and you've thrown it off. However, they will continue to scare you saying changing a few words isn't enough. Look, can I just change a few words to bypass the watermark? You know the answer is no, right? Because that's the fear factor coming in and saying, oh, well, here it says you could change a few words. Here it's saying why it works and why it fails here and here. It's funny because I asked this question the other night. It gave me a different answer. So give me an example of how text scoring would occur, assuming this is possible. We know it's theory. As far as I know, no one's ever proven it. So depending if the word is beautiful, gorgeous, or sunny, and then it gives a probability. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And then I want you to think about this, which again, this is the part I don't understand. If there are children growing up reading things made by AI, then they are subconsciously going to write things like AI without realizing it, because that's how they learned it. So as AI is trying to replicate human writing, humans, young humans learning from that are going to replicate AI. Then over time, the two blend together and you won't be able to tell them apart. When a human starts choosing words the AI chooses for word score, the human will also be doing it without really understanding why, other than that's how they were taught. So the human starts to replicate the AI, and the AI is replicating the human. What do you think happens over time? Am I some kind of genius, or is this the most basic, stupid thing? I can't figure it out because I don't hear anybody talking about it. That this watermarking thing, even if it were true, is temporary at best. So I'm like holding my head going, are we just reacting to things that are happening in front of us, or are we trying to look ahead and see what's coming? Do we only worry about things until they're right there in front of us? Or do we prepare because we can see it in the distance and we start working on it now? Because I don't understand this blindness. It's almost like a nearsightedness, like you have to wait until it's right in front of you. Is that nearsighted? I don't know. Before you see it. It's there to be seen now. Stop looking down. Lift your chin. Look ahead. Look where we're going. Start planning for it. All right. Went off on another tangent because I do want to get back to more examples of taking more of your money and giving you less for it. That's what's happening right now in groceries, in everything we're buying more or less in the American economy. I can't speak for other countries, but here in America, we're spending more and getting less. Or the quality of what we're getting is dropping. Fast food chains like McDonald's, they're losing their money. They're losing their shirt. Taco Bell's doing well. Taco Bell's getting it. McDonald's doesn't get it. Companies that have done well for decades suddenly aren't doing well anymore. Amazon is starting to charge more and offer less service. They're putting customer service into AI. And then customer service, if you can actually get a human, says we're not allowed to question the AI. Well, there's the beginning of the end for Amazon if they don't self-correct that. Every king of the hill is only king for a short period of time. Used to be Sears. Where are they today? Kmart was really big, along with Target and Walmart. They all started in 1962. It wasn't that long ago. Kmart's already gone. Target, they're doing okay. Walmart, I'd say, they all started the race in the same year. Now look where they are just, 60 years later. So anyway, 65 years. This is what I'm trying to get to. And before I go much further, I have not said hello to everybody, which is quite rude of me. I apologize. Let me say hello to everyone joining us in our chat room today. Scroll up to the top and see what we've got. Dylan says hello. There's Jonathan Fells joining us. Sean Skinner says hello. Michael Lavelle, David Graham, and Lou Greenia. Our friend Buster sends a very generous Amazon gift card prior to the show. Thank you, Buster. Buster joins us from Edinburgh, Scotland. He says the temperature in Edinburgh right now, it's pretty late at night over there, it's 62 degrees Fahrenheit or 16.6 Celsius. Man, I would give anything for that right now. It is hot. It's Phoenix and it's August. What a shock. I know. Thank you, Buster. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. 3D Everything says hello. There's Ben Laird also joining us from Scotland. Good to see you, Ben. Anthony SF says hello. Mara, our channel administrator, is hanging out with you guys in the chat. Scott Messerschmidt joining us, along with Dennis K, says hello. 3D Everything. David Herzog. Andy W6AD, Jim Kenny, and Mark Baggett say hello. There's John Williams and Chris Johnson. Mats Olof from Sweden says hello. Bike Man joins us, along with Bajan Guy. Mark Gaines from Northern Ireland says hello. If you're watching this video live here, Friday the 14th of August, please pop into our chat room and say hello. This is not TV. This is YouTube, which includes you. Come on in, join us. We'd love to have you. Eugene Eldago says hello. There's Mark Leibowitz from Chicago saying hello. VX4716 says, is the board in this an EATA? Yes. Yes, it is. Let's see. Jency says hello. Dazzle555 joining us. Patrick Manny joining us here in the chat, along with Dustin Fuller and William Kaiser. Patrick Manny is now a member for 51 months. Right on. Thank you, Patrick. He says it's great to be here. It's great to have you here, Patrick. Thank you for continuing to support us over 4 years now. Eddie Casanova says hello. Just going through the chat room here, trying to get caught up. I missed a lot. Mark Leibowitz said he worked on an ASUS motherboard where the USB 3 connector for the case faced forward in such a way that it was almost impossible to connect or disconnect the cable without breaking off the connector. Yeah, we've got experience with that. Lagrinia says the MSI project board is A2 and B2. Oh, is it? I stand corrected, because that's the same ASUS nonsense. So I'm disappointed, but I appreciate the correction. I don't work on many MSI boards. I think they're overpriced. Same thing with ASUS. The reason I use Gigabyte and primarily ASRock is my #1 choice right now is just value. They're all good boards. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. But I think ASRock currently is the best value for the money. And I also like that they don't play those numbering games. Of course, Gigabyte doesn't do that either. I'm not real happy with Gigabyte support, but I've rarely ever needed it. So Dennis says these I/O covers are overrated anyway. Oh, for sure. Who's it for? Especially on a server board that goes into a dark closet with a locked door. Who's going to see this? The fact that I put it in a case that has a glass panel is because Be Quiet sent us the case to review. Otherwise, why does it have a glass panel for a server board? That does not make any sense. R.A. Walt was talking about the greed that's going on right now, and that's, he says, October 23rd of 2024, he bought 96 gigs of DDR5 RAM on Amazon for $225. Today, that SAM RAM is $1,400. Yep. So when we talk about greed, we're also talking about supply and demand. It's not just the corporations being greedy, it's the consumers being greedy, it's the companies being greedy. If you go back to the start of the pandemic trying to buy toilet paper, you never saw such greed coming from the toilet paper manufacturers, the sellers like Target and Walmart, and the buyers themselves, all being greedy to see who could get the most. The manufacturers and the department stores wanted the most amount of money. The consumers wanted the most amount of product. So it was greed feeding greed. The only way you can win this is you refuse to participate. That's it. When things are well, buy more than you need. So if the unexpected happens, you're prepared. It's toilet paper insurance. So if you have 2 months supply of toilet paper and something like that happens, you're safe for 2 months, right? Let everybody tire themselves out, and when they've spent all their money and they're broke, you can waltz into the store and have all the selection of toilet paper at much more reduced prices and not deal with the hassle because you padded, pardon the expression there, but you padded yourself for such an emergency, including what if you broke your legs and you couldn't go to the store? How are you going to get the toilet paper? Could be something private and personal. So if you've got more than you need, you'll use it. There's a comedian that tells the joke about when you stop at these truck stops, when you're on the road on the American freeways, They have little things you can buy for the road: beef jerky, snacks, cell phone chargers, sunglasses, and a single roll of toilet paper. Yes, you can buy one roll of toilet paper at these places. And the comedian says, have you been to these places where they sell one roll of toilet paper? The comedian's name's, I believe, Brian Carey. Funny guy. What are they thinking when they're buying one roll of toilet paper? I'm trying to quit. It's a good joke. Mark Liebowitz said, it's interesting that a Camry PC did so well. In my experience, people gravitate to familiar brands and then buy the cheapest, which is the only way I can explain the HP Stream laptop. Well, I mean, that is certainly a part of the buyers will stay brand loyal, but I don't think it's as popular as it used to be. I just don't think they can afford it. He goes, the HP Stream comes in fashion colors. Here's a pro tip. If it comes in fashion colors, look very carefully at the specifications of the components. Kurt Schlegel joined us. He says, very interesting. William Kaiser says, people buy cheap to watch YouTube. Don't need much for that. Just Windows 11 support, no AI, whatever works for people. Well, I think you're assuming that, William. I don't think you have any evidence or data to back that up. I think you're just coming to your own conclusion based on the information that you are imagining. People have a number of reasons for buying cheaper computers. And sure, YouTube may be a part of that, but I doubt it's the sole reason, because quite frankly, you can just turn on any modern TV and the YouTube app is already built into it. You could turn on a modern cell phone and stream it right to your TV with the YouTube app on the phone. Or if you don't have a smart TV or you don't have a smartphone, you just buy an Amazon Fire Stick device for $25, plug it in the back of your TV. You now have a smart TV with YouTube. That's way cheaper than a whole computer. So I think there's more to it than that. However, I'm sure there are some people that just watch YouTube, but or would buy a computer just to watch YouTube for whatever reason. But no, I wouldn't say the bulk of the PC sales or mini PC sales to home users are happening specifically for YouTube. But yes, YouTube is the second most popular website in the entire world across the planet. So it is probably part of their daily routine or whatever their routine is. But I imagine there's lots of other things they use the computer for that you're not aware of. So just keep that in mind, just, you know, having some courtesy to different people use things in different ways, not necessarily the way you do it, even though what you think what you do is what everybody's doing, it's probably not true. And this is what people do. They, oh, everybody does this. No, they don't. You do it, maybe. But sometimes people will put information out there based on assumptions that it's so common, but it isn't necessarily that way. And so when I get a call from a customer, I don't just lump them all in as all customers do this or that. Very few of my customers do the same things with their computers. They might, for example, pay bills, but the bills they pay are all very different. They might watch videos, but it may not be YouTube. It could be Netflix or, you know, something else. So while there may be a similar task, how it's done is based on the individual's personal preferences. And then, of course, they may also do tasks that you've never even heard of before. And that may be like, to them, everybody uses this. And to you, you're like, what are you talking about? And you say to them, everybody does this. And they look at you and they go, what are you talking about? You see why that doesn't work? But it's an interesting sort of simple way to sort of explain it. But I don't think that's the reality. I don't have the data either, other than, you know, the computers I get to work on, right? I get to work on computers from all different kinds of people. So I get to see firsthand what people are using computers for. And I can tell you in a lot of office buildings, nobody's watching YouTube. If they are, they're probably on break or they're violating company policy. They're there to work. And those mini PCs get that work done. at a fraction of the cost, and it'll take up as much room as a standard desktop tower. And the business owners want to spend less. They want their employees to work more. And I don't know, but I imagine mini PCs are the bulk of PCs being used in small and medium businesses today. I don't know about large companies yet. Large companies have always used, HP, Lenovo, Dell mini PCs, which are a slightly different form factor, but they're built like a tank. They're very serviceable. They have to be in business. Time is money. They've been doing that for years. But as far as like these little consumer computers, I think a lot of small and medium businesses, real estate agents, accountants, lawyers' offices, even dentist offices, that's all they need, at least for the individual exam rooms. Then it all just connects to a big server. That's what I'm personally saying in Phoenix. Now, it could be different in California. It could be different in Idaho. I don't know, because I'm not there. But I certainly am open-minded to it, and I would never assume that everybody's doing the same thing, or even that the bulk of people are doing the same thing, unless I'm personally witnessing it. Dan Lazaro in the chat room joins us. He says, the greed these companies exhibit eventually comes back to bite them. You'll see it in every form, from entertainment to fast food. I understand the quick buck, but at what cost? Your company goes under? Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with you. We've certainly seen time and again, especially when it comes to private equity firms buying up companies, and then they just break the company up and squeeze it for every drop and then close it down. We're seeing that happen right now. It's happening to Denny's across America. The Denny's diner, it's dying. And I don't imagine it's going to be around much longer. And that death started happening right after private equity purchased it. We're seeing a lot of private equity cashing out on these businesses and shutting them down. That's too bad. But when they shut them down, that leaves an opportunity for the rest of us to fill the void. So there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur and to start your own company. And you can replace what went so wrong. That's often how these things happen. When Dave Thomas founded Wendy's, they were very, very successful. And when Dave Thomas died, Wendy's began a slow descent. And sometimes it just takes the founder to no longer lead the ship for the ship to be lost. You need only look at Apple and watch the history with Steve Jobs being fired and then brought back. Apple was 6 weeks away from filing bankruptcy. And they brought Steve Jobs back almost as a joke. The guy wants his job. We got 6 weeks. They throw him a bone. They don't expect him to actually do anything with it. Well, you know what he did with it, don't you? In less than 6 weeks, he was able to undo all the damage they caused. Unfortunately, when he passed, there's just nobody like him. Like him or not, there's nobody similar to Steve Jobs. There probably never will be. So Tim Cook takes over, and he takes it a slightly different direction. Now he's retiring, and then the company keeps changing the values of the person in charge. And that's where things often go off the rails. And if you get a private equity firm involved, which Apple hasn't done, but if you get a private equity firm involved, where they're now the owners, their goal is to make as much money as quickly as possible and be damned with the future. Here's the thought process. I'm going to spend $10 million. I'm going to invest $10 million and buy up all of these Denny's. Sure, it was more than that. We're going to cut the staff. We're going to find cheaper sources for food that we're getting our food from, which lowers the quality until people figure it out and they stop going to Denny's. And then the lower performing stores will start closing them off and selling off the real estate. And we're going to earn back $15, $20 million by the time this is all said and done. And Denny's is gone. And we're going to take that $15 or $20 million and we're going to go buy another company that's having a difficult time, like Pizza Hut. And now we're going to do the same thing again. And we're going to take that 20 million, turn it into 30, 40 million. And then we're going to take that money after those are all closed up. And we're going to go, and that's just how it's the churn of greed. That's all it is. It destroys communities and livelihoods. The auto manufacturer started this in my hometown of Detroit. That's what, Flint and Pontiac were wonderful towns. These days, roll up your windows and lock your doors. It can be pretty sketchy because everybody worked for the car industry in Flint, for example, for generations. And so all the supporting restaurants, barbershops, department stores was all there to provide the community that was working for the car manufacturer. But when the car manufacturer said, we're closing this down and taking it to Canada, or we're taking it to Mexico, great if you live in Canada or Mexico. But with all the town pretty much working, the majority of the town, that people that live there because they worked for the car manufacturer. The car manufacturer betrays them, stabs them right in the back for no apparent reason other than greed. And now the majority of town has no jobs. Now there's no one there to support the restaurants and the barbershops and the department stores, and they go down, and then crime goes up, and here we are. So how much community responsibility does a corporation have? And that's where we get to ethics and morals. And unfortunately, you cannot put a company in jail. You can't take Ford Motor Company and put them in a jail cell. You can take the individuals in charge, maybe, but the company itself has no soul. There's nothing to incarcerate. Without that sort of ramification, then it's just about money. How much money can we, and it doesn't matter at what the cost is to other people. If they have to step on you so they can get a little bit taller, they're going to step on you. Now, you don't have to lay there and be stepped on. And in much the same way, when it comes to this greed, just don't buy anything. Don't participate in it, because you're voting with your dollar. You're making it clear to them you're okay with this if you buy. And you might say, well, I have to. Well, I mean, if you have to, you have to. But if you don't have to, you don't have to. Just wait it out. This cannot be sustained over a long period of time. It's going to collapse in on itself. History proves this. We've been through this over and over and over and over again. You just have to be patient. But if you participate with it, you're making it last longer, and you're part of the problem, the way I see it. Or you don't consider it a problem, in which case it's kind of a null argument. It's a moot point, because if you're like, I don't care what it costs, I'm going to buy it anyway, it's not a problem for you. It's just a problem for the rest of us. And what do you care, right? Which takes us back to the soulless corporations. And I don't say that like some kind of a hippie. I literally mean that corporation does not have a soul. Factually and scientifically, no soul exists. If it did, we could punish it and put it in a jail. That's the proof there's no soul. So it's not an attitude, it's a fact. As a result, the behaviors of something that has no soul plays under different rules than the rest of us. Because we can be jailed. We are souls. The company is not. Individuals within the company are souls. But Ford Motor Company is soulless in and of itself. Okay, so the results are the decisions are made on behalf of the Ford Motor Company by the souls. And the souls are the ones that can sit in the jail cells, but the Ford Motor Company itself can never sit in a jail cell. It's not possible. If the people decide we're not buying these cars anymore, that's what's going to be the punishment for soulless corporations, which is all corporations. I'm not picking on Ford. That's just the first thing that came to mind. They're all the same. But yet people are showing time and time again that they're willing to support that because it's cheap. So they don't care what the consequences are to the community or what message it's sending to the board of directors. You're saying, if you're doing this, you're saying to McDonald's, for example, it's okay to charge me more, to give me less. And the less that you're giving me is of worse quality. It doesn't taste as good anymore. Now, on the one hand, when I was growing up, McDonald's was a special treat. We didn't go there every day. McDonald's was known for being cheap and decent. It tasted good. It got to a point where the generation behind me started eating McDonald's more frequently, and the generation behind them became almost an everyday occurrence where It became a health issue, obese America, diabetes, and type 2 diabetes, and all these other health concerns that go with eating unhealthily because it was so cheap and easy that nobody cooks at home anymore. And they say nobody cooks at home. Obviously, people still cook at home, but the culture, many of which don't know how to boil water anymore when we talk about a younger generation. And then you've got delivery services like DoorDash and such. Because of the pandemic, we're really providing a good service, and people got even lazier and said, why should I go to McDonald's when I can have McDonald's come to me? Like, that's a whole series of laziness where you're not going to make your own food. You're not going to do your own dishes. You're not even going to put pants on and go outside. You're going to pay more to have lukewarm food delivered to your door, and you're going to pay top dollar for it. And who are the majority of these people who do this? The people who have no money. Do you think millionaires order DoorDash or food delivery? I have several customers that are millionaires, and it's pretty rare, unless they're doing something for the office that's tax deductible, that they personally would order delivery, and they can afford it. And a lot of people that are utilizing these delivery services, buying this crap food, paying way too much for it, are some of the poorest people who can least afford it, at least from what I'm seeing in Phoenix. It's a whole nother kind of a pandemic that isn't really being discussed. The McDonald's themselves are no longer welcoming places to sit down and eat. At least not the ones near us. They've remodeled them to make it discouraging for you to want to be there. They've opened 2 drive-thrus. They've gotten rid of the play area. They've gotten rid of you being able to refill your own drink or get a napkin or a straw or salt or pepper or ketchup. All that's gone. It is literally just like a prison cafeteria. The tables are bolted down to the floor. And what McDonald's wants you to do is you walk in there with no security guard, okay? So anybody could be in there threatening people. There's no employees to be seen. They're behind a wall somewhere. You're lucky if there's a cash register. Instead, it's all digital kiosks. If you don't want to use the digital kiosk, that's fine. You pull up the McDonald's app on your phone, you pick a table, you scan the QR code on the table, you tell them how many napkins you want, you tell them if you want to, if you don't get a stir stick for your coffee, you don't get one. You could walk up to the counter and wait, and eventually someone will see you. There are people back there. When you order and you scan your table code, somebody will come out from nowhere with a tray and put it on the table and walk out. They won't ask you to confirm everything's right. They won't ask you if everything's okay. They won't ask if they don't ask you. They literally are speechless. Here you go. And they walk away and they disappear again. You're on your own. Throw it in the trash bin when you're done. If you don't, it'll probably just sit there inconsiderate to anybody else that wants to eat there, because it's unlikely those employees are going to know that needs to be cleaned up. If you need anything like a drink refill, you will walk up to the counter and hope somebody eventually sees you, and they will gladly accommodate you. Where's everybody? They're working the drive-thrus. That's obviously where they want you to be. I don't even know why they have the dining area. Their prices are higher. Their food tastes terrible now. It used to be much, much better. They've never charged more to get less and less quality. Ever in my lifetime, I've never experienced this. So, I don't own McDonald's. I'm not an investor in McDonald's. What do I care? I don't eat there anymore. Nothing about it sounds good. If you wanted to give me decent quality and raise the price, that's fine. If you wanted to give me the same quality and raise the price, that's fine. But if you want to raise the price and lower the quality and make me feel like I've got to keep looking over my shoulder for anybody that might be, in that dining area because it's Phoenix, when it's 100+ degrees Fahrenheit, we have a large homeless population that wants to come into the air conditioning and will beg you for money, or who knows what. You know why I don't know? Because after it happened the first time, I never went back again. I did try going to another McDonald's further away. They did the same thing to it. Turn around, walk right out. If there's a McDonald's 10 miles down the road that's still old-fashioned and that they have the play area and, they have fountain machines, okay, that's fine. I'm still paying more to get smaller quantities of worse food, but at least the dining experience is the same. So ultimately, since I can't change it, what I can do is stop participating in it. Because if you participate in it after you've complained about it, you don't mean what you say. Because you're saying, this is terrible, but I'm going to give you my money anyway. And all McDonald's is seeing is your money. They don't hear a word you're saying. They're seeing what you're doing. They don't care what you say. They only care what you do. So if you say, this is all terrible, but then you eat there anyway, they don't, as far as they can tell, you don't mean a word of what you said. If you really are sincere about your message getting through, stop giving them your business. They will either correct, or if enough people stop giving them their business, they'll go out of business and there won't be a McDonald's anymore. And you'll say, oh, remember when there used to be McDonald's? You got to remember why there isn't anymore. It's because it got terrible to a point where nobody wanted to go there when it was there. So that the feeling should be, thank goodness that McDonald's is gone. Finally, something good can go in its place. Something else can be built on that location, and we can start over again. Remember how good Pizza Hut was in the 1980s? What happened? What happened? So then this company comes along, Papa John's. Who the hell are they? I'd never heard of them. And look at the difference they made. Well, you can rest assured that's all going to repeat itself. And how long that takes depends on what your role in it is. Are you supporting it? Are you paying for it? Are you giving them your money? If so, no matter what you say, you are supporting it. Pick a lane. The minute enough people stop supporting it and that goes out of business, some new person with an idea and a dream can start a restaurant up. You know, what do you think? How do you think Chipotle started? Although McDonald's was a big investor in Chipotle, but not anymore. But that certainly helped them grow, and it was just one guy with an idea. Subway, look at what happened to Subway, and it continues to just... So it was another opportunity for somebody to come in and be the new thing. And the more that we continue to give these businesses that we say we don't like our business, the replacement that makes everything better can't happen until that location frees up and someone else can take the location. And then see how it goes. You know, they're going to do really well and they'll be around because they're doing well, or they suck and they won't be around very long and it'll quickly shift over to somebody else. Where there was once a business, there will be another one and another one and another one until somebody gets it right, and that business will flourish. But that can't happen until the business that's doing bad does one of two things: corrects their course so they're not doing bad anymore before it's too late, or wait until the money runs out and then they don't have a choice anymore. It's no longer a decision for them. The banks say, we're shutting you down, we're done. You owe us money, we're going to just sell off everything you own to try and pay back your loans, and anything remaining we'll sue you for privately. Mark Leibowitz said most US buyers don't know what a mini PC is because big box stores like Best Buy only recently started to carry them. This is true. At least I find it to be true, or relatable. I don't know that technically what the statistics are, but that makes sense to me anyway. VX4716 said, I just wondered why Carey's covering a lot of mini PCs in his recent video. Well, because there's only innovation happening with mini PCs. Have you seen any new motherboards coming out? Even if you did, who can afford the RAM and the storage for them? So with the prices being as high as they are, the manufacturers are not innovating. There's not much new to talk about with routers, with solid state drives, with memory, with motherboards, with CPU coolers, with CPUs, with cases, with power supplies. It's all just stalled, all of it. Now, if you know something I don't, please tell me. Because what we would always feature here are the latest innovations in these areas of technology relating to computers. That's what we've always covered. And we first covered the Mini PC in April of 2013. And I said then, you know, is this the new thing? Is this what's going to replace it? And over time, we started seeing more and more Mini PCs and less desktops. So what you're seeing from me, if you look historically, is the way the industry is moving. I'm just there before everybody else. I mean, before most people. Because I do this for a living, I'm in the trenches and I'm dealing with the changes of tide instantly, versus you watching at home probably won't sense that for a while. I'm already here. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, I'm right all the time or anything like that. It's just, this is what my business is being driven to because of what is being asked of my business by my paying customers. So I'm going to see that in bulk before the average person's going to see it, which gives you the impression I had a head start on this. I didn't have a choice, okay? It is what it is. But in the meantime, when you look for innovation with computers right now, who's innovating? As far as I can tell, Mini PC makers are the only ones offering new products this year. Can anybody tell me a new product that came out this year regarding computers? Like, I don't know, a new video card that came out? A new style of RAM that came out? Everybody talked about, let's go back. People said, oh, Dell's got this new, there's a new CAM memory. What do you think of that, Carey? That's going to be the new standard. I said, no, it isn't. Not likely. Oh, yes, it is. Here's an article on it. Yeah, it's a puff piece written by a PR firm. Well, look, Dell's going to use it. Yeah, they're using it in a couple of models as a test. Well, what about the framework laptop? Isn't that amazing? No. No, we've been through all this. I've been in this industry a long time. We've had modular laptops before. They cost more, they weigh more, they have crappy battery life. And, you know, the fact is consumers want to buy the cheapest. They go, yeah, but the framework laptop is better. I didn't say it wasn't. Depending on what you think better is. To me, being modular is great. I'm not against it. But you know what's better? Buying 2 laptops for the price of 1 framework. I'm just saying. Who needs it modular and repairable when you can just buy 2 of them for the price of 1 modular repairable one? It doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. It's like your principles are beyond are a higher priority than your financial investments. Like for you individually, you might think that's a good investment for you. Most people won't. This has been proven out. You know why you don't know about other modular laptop companies? They did exist before framework. Where did they go? The same place framework will go. Framework is a niche product for a niche group. And how often do people in that niche group buy a new laptop? Not often enough to keep that business in business unless they reach out to other products. It's been proven. It's nothing new here. So, well, I would love to demonstrate other innovations in technology that we've been dealing with over and over and over and over again for years and years and years. You knew that wasn't going to last forever, right? Something was going to change sooner or later, and it has. Not because I wanted it to, because nothing can stop it. This is the way it's been since mankind has existed on this planet. Things evolve and change. And then you get older and you go, things used to be good. Things used to be cheaper. Things used to be better. When you hear yourself saying that, you've reached the age of old. Because all the younger people think this is all great, except maybe when it comes to like gaming right now. The status of gaming is not good. I've always said, go all the way back to day one on this channel. I said, gaming is an expensive luxury that's designed for people who have both time to pay for the consoles or the computers, to pay for the games. They have to have the money, and then they need the time to play them and get them working because they're so difficult to get working on a PC. And then Sony will say, we don't want to send out CDs or DVDs anymore. We're just going to do it electronically. And the old people, this is how you identify old people, say, well, they don't want you to own anything anymore. You never owned it. That's an illusion. Oh, I'm going to go back and buy DVDs because I can own a DVD. You don't. You own the material, but you don't own what's on it. The physical DVD disc is yours. The material, the information that's on it, that doesn't belong to you. That's a license. Well, I could play it whatever I want. Did we all forget DVDs and Blu-rays are often region locked? Did we as a society forget it, or are we talking about a generation that thinks they're cool and has no idea what they're talking about? I don't think buying a DVD that's region locked or a Blu-ray that's region locked is you buying freedom. It never was. It's not any different today. That's why we've moved away from it. And if you scratch your DVD, you don't get the replacement license. Your license is no good anymore because you scratched, or somebody scratched, your materials, and it's only the material you own, not the data. It's always been that way with music, with movies. It doesn't matter if you bought an album. You own the vinyl, but you don't own the music on it. You're licensed for that. If you scratch it up, if you break it, if you crack it, you got to buy another one. That's not a warranty issue. It's all an illusion. So whether you're getting it streaming, at least you don't have to worry about damaging the media or the media aging to a point where good luck finding a DVD player anymore, or a VHS player, or a Betamax player, or an 8-track player. Your media might be just fine, but you don't have any way to play it. So anyway, it's always the same. Nothing's different now than it was, other than the perception, and the perception's twisted, in my opinion. People are choosing to look at one thing and ignore the other thing, and then claim self-righteousness. And they're not seeing the whole picture, not in my opinion. Stephen Detroit joins us, says, Carey, thanks for another great video. Hey, thanks for joining us, Stephen. William Kaiser says, I don't know why companies haven't gone the laptop route. Oh, many have. Many have. They do tend to be a little bit more prone to damage with employees. When the employee doesn't own the company equipment, they tend to abuse it. Things get spilled, it gets dropped, it gets abused. It's not theirs. They just give back to the company and get another one. If you work in the IT department for that company, that is the bane of your existence. It's very rare you have an employee with a company-issued laptop that takes care of it. But with a desktop, it's a lot harder to abuse it. Yet still, some companies do issue laptops. Dennis says, same as it ever was. Yeah. All right, let me see if I missed anything else here. Patrick Manny said he got a medium French fries at McDonald's, and you could count the number of fries on both hands. What a ripoff. Well, especially if they were lukewarm because they were under heat lamps and they were limp and they weren't crispy and fresh. I kind of feel like, all right, you gave me some old fries. I probably shouldn't be eating these anyway, so I'll just throw them away. I won't go and complain. I consider it a sign from powers of nature telling me, you shouldn't be eating this, just throw it away. And that's what I do. I just take it as a sign from above. I'm not supposed to eat this. It's as good of an excuse as I can come up with. I don't want to go up to the counter and say, could you make me some fresh fries? I will say, if you ask for your fries without salt, they have to make them fresh. But as for the quantity, usually the reason you got such few fries is they didn't want to make another batch and they gave you what was left over. So if you say no salt, they have to make you a fresh batch. And they won't just make one little batch, they make a big batch. So you'll get fries fresh out. And it doesn't matter if you're McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, it works universally. No salt, please. Can't have it, high blood pressure, whatever. Can't have salt. They are forced to cook that fresh. FYI. And he said it's his opinion that so far the Mini PC manufacturers are doing a fair job in adapting to the memory price issue. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're selling like hotcakes because of the most affordable thing a consumer can buy, and you're not really sacrificing anything. It's just getting over this idea that this little small computer can be that powerful. We are seeing a trend now where they're starting to put AI into everything, even though very few people use it. So even the budget PCs with the low-end Intel Core 3s now include AI. Can you believe it? The Core 3, what is it? The Core 3, Intel Core 3, recently released, it's only released maybe 6 months ago, 5 months ago. It's the Intel Core Ultra Series 3. Instead of i3, it's Ultra 3. And we're going to be looking at some budget mini PCs coming up. I think Cam Rui and Miniswarm are the first to introduce this new 5-core chip that does AI process. It's got a little teeny tiny neural processor, does 25 tops, which is really, it's almost laughable. But at the same time, when you combine the MPU and you combine the CPU and the GPU that's built onto the CPU, it does raise the TOPS level. But still, I mean, I think they're selling an idea, right? They're sort of giving the impression of value because everybody sees that as being worth more. And Intel, they're selling it. So the mini PC manufacturers don't really have any choice but to use it. So, or not offer a computer at that level. So for right around $265, you could get a mini PC with Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth, the Core Ultra 3 processor, and then just no RAM or storage, just bare bones. You're looking at about $260, $265. It'll use DDR4. It doesn't. I don't believe it needs DDR5. I could be wrong. And then it could be socketed or it could be soldered on LPDDR5. That's up to the manufacturer. If they want to make the price cheaper, they're going to solder it on. Cheaper gets you more memory that's ever less. It's likely to never fail because it's soldered on. The mini PC can be smaller. The cost of the sockets for the memory, the cost of customer support from people putting the wrong memory in or taking the memory out, all that goes away, and then low power DDR5 is faster. It's just simply faster. But again, the older people don't know that. They're stuck in this old mentality where they think that's bad when in fact it's good. You say, well, you can't upgrade it. Well, you shouldn't need to upgrade it anymore. Those days are behind us. This isn't the days of Windows 95 anymore. In the days of Windows 95 or maybe even Windows 7, I'd agree with you, but not today, not anymore. Furthermore, Microsoft keeps trying to optimize Windows 11 so it can run on 4 gigs of RAM. And they are working on updates consistently to try to optimize and speed up performance. In fact, this last series of updates that happened Tuesday, you might have noticed your computer being a little snappier now. And you can read more about it if you Google these last updates and what they're doing and why your computer should seem snappier now as a result of those updates. Also, and then maybe we'll do this on Sunday, Microsoft has again updated the Windows installer, so it includes those updates from Tuesday now. So if you ever have to do a fresh install of Windows, it'll have all of the updates all the way up till Tuesday already in there, so you never have to download those updates. You only need to download any new updates that come out since then. And Microsoft has been updating the installer on the Thursday that follows Update Tuesday, which is the second Tuesday of every month. Microsoft releases Windows updates, and that Thursday, 2 days later, is generally when the installer has that slipstream already done for you. So we'll do that. We'll grab my Windows 11 flash drive. We'll download the Windows Media Creation Tool. Now, previously I had mentioned that you need to download the Media Creation Tool every time, or you'll get the older version of Windows. And somebody wrote into me and said, well, that's not true anymore, because we've been testing it, and for the last 3 months we've been using the same Media Creation Tool, and it is in fact getting the new installer. That's good to know, except the Media Creation Tool is a little teeny tiny file. And the only way you're going to know if you're getting the latest installer downloading from it is after you've done the work and you've checked it. So just as Microsoft has very quietly changed this, they will likely change it again, and they will very quietly do it so you won't know. So I'm a person that says, look, let's just play this safe and not say, do it this way in 2016 and do it this way in 2017 and go back and do it this way in 2018. Just do it one way forever, which is when you need the tool, download it at that time. Then it doesn't matter if Microsoft updated the old tool or not, or if it's not maybe it's the same tool. Maybe the old tool is still the same. How would you know? And since the download is tiny, it's fast, and it's free, why even save it? When you're done with it, delete it. You only need the tool to download the latest ISO image. Once you've got that, you can use Rufus and use it as many times as you want to make installer media. And every month, Microsoft is updating that ISO. So every month, rather than rely on the old media creation tool from last month or the month before, which might give you the latest version, I don't want to roll the dice. I want a guarantee. So I delete the media creation tool and I'm done with it. That forces me, I have no choice, but to go grab the media creation, even if it's the same file I deleted. It's so tiny and insignificant, who cares? Why should I categorize it and put it in my library and then not have any idea when or if Microsoft ever changes it? How would I know? So I might be doing it the hard way, but I always get the same result no matter what. If you want to take a shortcut, that'll work until it doesn't. That much I can promise you. When that day is, I don't know. But that day will never come for me if you follow my process. That day will come for you if you just want to just use the same media creation tool until it stops working, or it keeps delivering an older version and you figure that out after you spent all the time, because Microsoft doesn't disclose that information. So you do you. But if you're wondering why I do it this way, it's for guaranteed results no matter if Microsoft changes anything. I'll never know. It'll always work the same for me if I do it following my process. Now, if the tool was very large, took a long time to download it, or was difficult to get, obviously I would respond differently. VX4716 is talking about increasing the price of cheeseburgers. Let me tell you something that you may not realize. Carl's Jr. and Hardee's and Wendy's don't sell hamburgers anymore. I don't know if you noticed that. Because I'm somebody, when I order a burger, I don't want cheese and meat to go together. Not for religious reasons, I just don't. I like cheese and I like meat. I don't want them together. I like chocolate chips and I like pizza, but I don't want those together either. When I went into Carl's Jr. or I went into Wendy's, you'd order a burger and they'd ask you if you want cheese on it. They changed the menus, because if you wanted cheese on it, you'd pay extra, whatever it was, 25 cents, 50 cents, whatever. If you look at the menu board, you can go online right now and look at the menu for Carl's Jr. or Wendy's. There's not a hamburger on the menu, only cheeseburgers, meaning you're paying for the cheese. So instead of asking for cheese and they charge you more, I have to say I don't want the cheese. but the price does not come down. I still pay for a cheeseburger, and I say, hold the cheese, I don't want it. It's a pretty clever marketing tactic. But the menu is very clear. The menu says cheeseburger. It no longer says hamburger. Prove me wrong. Go online, go to Carl's Jr., go to Wendy's, go to Hardee's. Show me where it says there's a burger. It's only a cheeseburger now with the added price of the cheese. And they're more than happy to not put cheese on it, but you're still going to pay for it. And that's a marketing tactic that they did very quietly. Now, I realize I'm probably the minority. I think most Americans want cheese on everything. If they ordered cheese, they'd want cheese on it. I don't. So there's probably not enough people like me to make a big enough stink about it. So I just don't go there anymore. William Kaiser said the heading on the media creation tool should state what version of Windows it downloads. Yeah, I've been saying that for months. It should be right on the website. You shouldn't even have to download the tool. It should say this, the website should be updated anytime the ISO is updated to say this is the version of Windows. That would save everybody a lot of time. But they don't do that. And we don't have any authority or power. So they don't care, right? I mean, if somebody with no authority or power tries to tell you what to do, how do you think you're going to respond? Expect resistance, right? David Graham said he didn't notice any significant increase to him after the Windows updates on his PCs, but the older or less equipped the PC is, the more noticeable the difference is after these updates. And it depends on the individual and how they use the computer. So the same computer with the same specs could seem faster to the one person that uses it in a different way. But to another person, it seems the same to me. So then the question is, did I break this when I changed this battery that is just basically a bare piece of metal at this point with not a single bit of charge on it? And I had to take everything out and put everything back in again. Did I forget to hook something up? Did I break anything in the process? Let's see, turn that on and turn this on. And maybe that will speed up our boot time, because I'm thinking that certainly didn't help our boot time to have the BIOS always have to retrain every time power was lost. So let me jump over to the video output to this and let's take a look at it and let you decide. Let's go to HDMI 3, turn that off. Okay, so we have the Elgato, no signal. I guess while I'm waiting, I can put my camera 1 here down in the, whoops. That's not what I meant to do. Let's grab a corner. We'll put it right down here. And I did have the power supply switched off on this. That means it's the same as being unplugged, so it's running off the battery as far as keeping the BIOS up to date. Now, there are diagnostic codes inside. I don't know if you can see them on camera. They're way up over underneath the fan over here. And they're moving around constantly. And you will see the light on the graphics card light up once it gets to a certain point of the diagnostic. Just as it's about, the post is coming soon. So we're just waiting for that video card to light up here. And this is 512 gigs of RAM, so it is going to take quite a while to boot, even with the memory already trained, just so you know. I just don't know if it's making a big difference, because honestly, I don't want to have to tear this whole thing apart ever again. I hope we'll have it sold. It'll be somebody else's problem. So you can see this server, and by the way, this is common for servers. This is normal. And then once it's in Windows, it's rocket ship fast, as we demonstrated on the previous show. It is very, very fast. But getting it started, it's like an old television. You need to let it warm up before you see a picture. It's still, here we go. You should see that video card light up. I just heard the fan slow down. Something's happening. Any minute now. I should have started a timer. Although there is a clock running, you guys can see it. I can't see it. And you can see when we started this and how long it takes before we get to a Windows. Now, a restart won't take as long, but just a cold start from not being, you know, with the power supply being switched off. In theory, the BIOS should not have to retrain anymore, though, with that new battery in. I'm just curious, does that actually make any difference on, you know, if it takes 3 minutes instead of 5 minutes, does that really make a big deal? I still haven't seen the video card light up yet, so we're still going to wait. When you're watching it, it seems to take twice as long. If you turned it on and walked out of the room and got yourself a cup of coffee, you'd probably come back, kind of like the old days. Yeah, I thought for sure that video light was gonna light up because I heard the fans slow down, and that usually indicates, you know, it's moving on to the next process. And I can't see the LEDs, the diagnostic LED or the digital. It's a LED display, and it goes through codes like hexadecimal codes, and it'll cycle through them. And it does get on one code for a while, which I'm guessing is the memory, before it moves forward. And it looks like, you know, if you're not accustomed to it, you think it's frozen. It's working, because if you're patient enough, you'll start seeing the code cycle. Like, it still has a lot more codes that it's checking, and the codes are constantly changing. And I don't know if you can see it or not. I see a yellow, I see a green light blinking just below the video card. I didn't notice that before. Again, we're just waiting for the video card to light up. Once that occurs, we know the posting will be shortly. You know, it's going to happen soon after the video card lights up. I am hearing the fans kind of adjust, so something is definitely happening. It's not frozen. It's doing something. I just don't know what it is. And normally a system like this stays on 24/7, and this would be very unusual to have to shut it off like that and turn it back on where it's lacking power. But given my scenario and that I don't use it, if you worked in a server room, this is why you don't want to restart a server during business hours. You're going to be down a few minutes waiting for that. It makes you start to doubt yourself, doesn't it? Like, something's wrong. No, this is normal. I mean, unless I knocked a cable loose, I'm not worried yet. It does feel like forever. If you're used to using regular desktop computers, this can seem like something's broken. And this is what can break a computer, is then the consumer gets in there and breaks it when there was nothing wrong with it other than the user just not being patient for this level of equipment. You know, an earth mover is not a fast machine. If you've got like a Caterpillar piece of heavy equipment used in construction or a crane, they're not fast. They're very powerful, but they're not fast. I would think by now we should see something. But the only thing that I'm hesitating about is I still hear the fans kind of doing something, and I don't know what they're doing. And I'm only looking at a small screen. Like, I can't see it as well as you can. And I can't see the diagnostic LEDs either. And if I turn it, the minute I turn it, you know that video card's going to light up, and I wanted you to see it. Gouging guy. Oh, David Graham says it seems like it's taking longer than yesterday. It does seem like that. But is it? All right, I want to look at the diagnostic LEDs and make sure that they're still moving. Oh, the diagnostic LEDs are completely off. All of the fans are off too. The rear fan is off, the front fans, the cooling fans on the radiator are all off. So I guess what I was hearing was this machine over here. So did I not turn it on? Let me just try this one more time. Okay, the fans are turning. It does appear that it turned off. Well, let's try again, one more time. I absolutely hear the fans. I can see the fan turning here. I don't know if you can see that diagnostic LED. The diagnostic LED was off. So when I saw the diagnostic LED was not lit up and the fans weren't turning, I thought, I don't think I turned it on. Then I'll be waiting a much longer time. Let's see what this looks like. I'll start paying more attention to the fans. Again, when I've got the computer turned towards you, I'm looking at it from behind. So that's the difficulty in filming. If I didn't have it facing you, I would have seen as soon as those fans had turned off, or if they never turned on, I would have seen it. So now I know to pay attention to that now. I'll just watch this rear fan. Oh, the video card did light up. There's our post. And then it'll start loading Windows. So there you go. Silly me. David Graham said it did power down. I did see the lights come on. Yeah, maybe something because I had it unplugged. It reset itself. But I just replaced the CMOS battery, so that should not have happened. But whatever. I can grab a mouse. And you can see the stats on this bad boy. It's actually relatively quiet for all those fans. William Kaiser said, I should have a mirror. Well, I'm kind of, when I look at the screen, it's effectively in a mirror mode, but it's shrunken down. I don't get it in real size. If I did put a mirror in front, then the camera would be looking at the back of the mirror. You understand that, right? I can't put the mirror behind the camera, or I'm just going to be seeing the back of a camera. If I put the mirror in front of the camera, you're going to be looking at the back of a mirror. You should try filming sometime. You'll get into all these kind of logic loops of video feedbacks and things that they sound good in your head until you actually try it and you go, oh, I guess I didn't really think about this. I've done that many times. Now, if we watch a reboot, it should be a lot faster. Let's try a reboot and we'll see how long it takes. Not a cold start. And I can't see with the camera in the way. So we'll go over here, restart, and now we'll bring camera 1 back. And then you can pay attention to the clock and see how long it takes to boot. It will be a lot longer than your standard desktop PC, but it'll be a lot faster than that cold boot was. Yeah, there is a small screen on the liquid cooler that's temperature. That's just temperature display. Andy says the RGB is on. I think the RGB is just on the cooler. Again, watch for that video card light. It just came on. And then it'll post shortly thereafter. You'll get the ASUS logo on the screen. There it is. So about 10 seconds, 15 seconds after the video card lights up. And then Windows, you'll see the toilet bowl spinning, flushing. It indicates Windows is loading. Once Windows is loaded, everything's lightning quick. And for funsies, let me go full screen on this so I can see the whole thing. Here's what the resource monitor looks like if you want to look at the CPU cores. Where are my cores? That's the CPU overall, the disk, the network, the memory. Here's all the cores. A core is basically a CPU. So if you see that this has 64 cores, it's the equivalent of having 64 CPUs. And this is considered a pretty low-end server by today's standards. Ooh, core 64, 65, 66. It must have hyper-threading, which emulates another CPU. So this is basically the number of CPUs. Like if this was the 90s, if you wanted to do this, you would need a pretty specialized motherboard. And for every CPU, you'd need a cooler in order to achieve the same thing I'm showing you in one computer today. Each one of these CPUs is called a thread, and the CPU itself is called a thread ripper. Why does it stop at 127? Because it started at the number 0. It didn't start with the number 1. If it started with the number 1, that'd be 128. Computers always like to start at 0. CPU 0. That's the first, that's CPU 1. Okay? In human math, not in computer math. Memory. If you do what I do for a living, if you're a technician and it's your job to work on equipment like this pretty commonly, it pays quite well. You're not normally going to run into a consumer with this level of equipment or that's going to pay you that well. That's why when I keep emphasizing the difference between professional and enthusiast, it's really about what's a sustainable business model, what's at stake. And if you break it, you know, that's a lot of money, that's your responsibility. So it's not the same as what you do to your own machine that only affects you. This affects an entire company and everybody that works for it. No pressure. All right, does anybody have any questions for me? We're just right here at the 2-hour mark on this Friday show. And I just want to talk about, you know, reiterating the amount of greed that we're seeing industry-wide across numerous industries. Even trying to buy a car right now, not a good idea. Trying to buy a house right now, not a good idea. I want a bag of Doritos. Give me an example of why this is so offensive to me. Let me go back to my window capture and let's just ask Gemini so I don't make up numbers. Or, you know, I like to paraphrase and use examples off the top of my head, and sometimes people don't like that because it's not technically accurate, even though I'm not trying to teach a class so much as get people at least understanding the concepts, right? Not necessarily becoming engineers themselves or becoming, you know, financial experts, but just to give you an idea of what it's involving. But we can look at the real numbers, so it still accomplishes the same thing, regardless of whether or not your personal preferences are to get technical or not. So let me jump over to the window capture. And let's go back over here to Gemini and say, how many family size bags of Doritos are sold daily in the USA and if you raise the price of each bag by $1, how much daily revenue does that create? See, a $1 increase on a mass-produced item, well, think about it. That's a pretty severe increase. $1.2 to 1.5 million bags, family size, the big bags of Doritos are sold every day, every single day. Meaning a $1 price increase, if that bag of Doritos goes from $6.50, $6.49, to $7.49, which is exactly what it did, that means that every day they were generating an extra $1.2 to $1.5 million for the same product they've been selling you. When I see an increase of a nickel or a dime, okay, so what if the price increase was 10 cents? It would still generate $120,000 to $150,000 in added revenue every single day. Okay, this is basic economics and economies of scale. It's very simple stuff. And yet American consumers go, well, it's just $1 more, right? That's quite often the attitude. That's a massive, massive price jump when you're at this scale. So I think on a bag of Doritos at Walmart, the advertised price, well, here, let's just see. What is the manufacturer's suggested retail price for a family size bag of Doritos? I know this is the biggest first world problems we got, price of Doritos. But hey, Mountain Dew and Doritos, it's a computer thing. They're saying $5.49. This seems out of date because it's what is current pricing? That's, yeah, $5.49 is what it used to be. What is current price? I think it's $8.49 now. I see, maybe I'm not being clear with the sizes. I don't know what the size is. $8.49 MSRP for family size at Walmart. Discounted to $7.49. So if I buy this Gatorade in 12 packs, they were $5.99 for a 12 pack. Today, some stores want $11.99, $10.99, $9.99. Walmart moved to digital price tags, and it looks like a paper tag. And I was showing Mara, I go, that's a digital. She goes, no, it's not. I go, yes, that's a digital. She goes, no, it isn't. I go, it is. They can change the prices just like that. So if I go to Amazon to buy a 12 pack of Gatorade, depending on the day I look, it's either $6.99 or $7.99. And it seems like whatever the Amazon price is, when I go to Walmart, because I know Walmart's got it, they were selling it at $7.99. Now they went to $6.99 and they matched Amazon's price. So I thought I'll just go to Walmart and buy it. I went to Walmart to buy it. It was $7.99. I went back to Amazon. It was $7.99. That $1 increase on a 12 pack of these, and how many of these do they sell a day? And that's not just for the lemon lime. That's for all the flavors in the 12 pack. Same bottle, just a different sweetener or flavor profile. That's millions of dollars. Since I know that, when I see it at $7.99, I don't buy it. So what did Amazon? I guess Amazon caught on that Walmart was matching them. So then Amazon says, here's a $1 coupon you can apply off the $7.99 price. So it looks to Walmart like their price is still $7.99. So Walmart's stuck at $7.99 and Amazon's at $6.99. Now if I'm buying 6 12 packs or 4 12 packs at a time, it's almost like I'm getting a 12 pack for free. And that's my economy of scale. Imagine theirs. And Amazon is going to bring it to me. I don't have to go and get it. And Amazon's going to charge me $1 less per. And I think Amazon limits me to only 5. I don't think you can buy more than 5. And I do feel bad for the delivery driver. They're pretty heavy, but then again, you're a delivery driver. So it's like if you're a dog catcher, you could get bit by a dog. I kind of feel bad, but on the other hand, if you're not okay with that, you probably shouldn't be in that line of work. So then I don't feel bad anymore when you think about it. So what's good is, if there was ever a reason for people to start learning how to cook now, this is the time to learn that skill. Just like a lot of people were making sourdough during the pandemic. At this point today, you can eat for much less money and have much better quality of food that tastes and is cooked exactly the way you like it, and you don't have to leave the house. Yes, you have to cook. Yes, you have to clean the dishes. So what? It's worth it. We used to go out to eat a lot, and now nothing sounds good to me. It just doesn't taste the same anymore. Wendy's isn't as good. Arby's. Last time I went to Arby's, I ordered the potato cakes. They were preheated. Like, they were under heat lamps. Somebody cooked them and left them under the heat lamps. They take a while to cook. I don't mind waiting, and they didn't ask me if I had a choice. They have food going bad. They want to get rid of that first. I still pay the same price. I stopped going. Now I don't pay any price for it. And then Arby's stopped selling the potato cake, so I stopped going. It's like, why don't you stop selling roast beef sandwiches? It's what you're known for crying out loud. So they said they're bringing the potato cakes back. I came back, and then they give me potato cakes that were cooked 20 minutes before I got there. Then I go to Popeye's fried chicken, and the food is lukewarm. It's been under the heat lamps. Now, I understand bone-in chicken can take a while to cook, and it stays hot a really long time, but chicken tenders? Come on. Why are they rubbery and lukewarm? And I left a feedback for Popeyes. I said, you should offer a microwave in your dining room so your customers can reheat their food they just got at the counter. So then I went to Church's Chicken. Same thing. When was this cooked? This had to be cooked 20 minutes before I ordered it. No discount. It's rubbery, it's lukewarm. That's not what I wanted. So I go out of my way to go get the food. Look, if I ordered it from DoorDash, I'd expect that. But when I'm getting it right at the restaurant, it should be made fresh when I order it. Little Caesars has hot and go pizzas. They're pizzas that are already made, pepperoni and cheese. They slap them into a warming oven and they're ready to go. You pay your $5, you take your pizza, you go in and out. If that's how you want your pizza to taste, have fun. I mean, pizza's not bad when it's cold. Honestly, chicken on a bone isn't bad when it's cold, but chicken tenders that are breaded and they're lukewarm and rubbery, I might as well just make it myself. I can go to the store, I can buy higher quality chicken breast or chicken tenders, or I can cut the breast myself. Not real hard to slice it into slices. Chop away the fat if there's any on there. Dip it in an egg batter. Dip it in some flour or cornmeal, or cornstarch even, if you want it gluten-free. Pop it in the oven. Put it in a frying pan. Or don't bread it at all. Take the chicken, put it in a broiling pan. Get one of those, almost like a cake pan. Put some butter in it. You don't have to melt it, just cut some butter, pop it in there. Put some seasoning on the chicken, cover it with foil, put it in your oven and walk away for about 15 minutes and check it. The butter will be all melted. It smells so good throughout the house. As long as you don't undercook it, you'll know if you undercooked it. Put it back in the oven. If it's overcooked, it'll be a little dry. It'll still cost you a fraction of the price of going out to eat. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at cooking it. And you'll make it perfect every time once you know your oven and the portion you're cooking. After a few times, you don't even have to look. You'll just set your timer and walk away. It'll be ready the exact same time every time. And then once you've got that dialed in, heck, if you want to be even lazier and you don't want to clean anything, fire up a gas-powered barbecue grill and put the thawed chicken right on the grill. Put some olive oil on it or something, avocado oil, so it doesn't stick to the grill. Salt and pepper. Check on it, turn it, just like a burger. Put it on a bun if you want to, or don't. Cut it up, put it on a salad. Eat it by itself. And you could do that 4 times probably for the price of what one would cost. That would taste horrible by comparison, and you don't even have to leave your house. So I think it's time for this young generation, if they've never been motivated to get off their butts, this is it, man. This is where you can finally start having better quality food in your life and not spend so much money. The only places that we seem to enjoy going to anymore are family owned. All of the chains, Denny's is terrible, McDonald's is terrible, Burger King is terrible, Carl's Jr. is terrible, Wendy's is getting worse and worse and worse, Pizza Hut's no good, Domino's hasn't been good for a long time, Papa John's is kind of hit or miss, Hungry Howie's is terrible. But these small mom and pop owned family run restaurants, even when they're chains, but they're still family owned chains, like Babbo Italian restaurants and Grimaldi's. They're all Italian. Well, there's a lot of ethnic restaurants around here that I don't eat at that are family owned, and I'll bet you they're delicious. At least if the family cares. You know, they're not on Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. Because you do have that risk with family owned too. But I can tell you, I can count on one hand the restaurants I can count on for still delivering good food today. And if I can't eat at one of those 5 places, I just don't want to go out and eat, quite honestly. And it's a shame because that's not how it was. Now, you know, did my taste change? Have I become more picky? I don't know. It seemed to me they're the ones who changed, not me. But then I might be willing to tolerate it if I wasn't also paying more for it. But when you put those two together, crappy food, small quantity, and higher price, the last time I got a spicy chicken sandwich at Wendy's, which was something I really enjoyed up until about a month ago, the chicken used to hang over the bun, and it had this kind of a flaky batter on it. Now it's got like a breadcrumb panko batter, and I have to lift up the bun to even find it, and it's thinner. Well, if they don't fix that, don't be surprised when they go out of business. That's not my fault. I don't want that anymore. I used to crave it the last time I got it. If that's the way they're doing it from now on, I don't want it anymore. I can make it better myself for less money. So that's how we're voting. That's how, it's not what we're saying on social media. It's what we're doing. And as long as you continue to give them your business, no matter how much you complain about them, nothing's going to change until people take their business somewhere else, somewhere more deserving, who appreciate your business better. Because you shouldn't accept less, in my opinion. You're worth having value to any business. And if they don't value you anymore, if they just see you as a sucker that they can squeeze out some more money from and you're going to pay it, that's your choice, not theirs, to pay it, to participate. Craig Casabona with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Craig. I'm not telling you how to spend your money. Don't misunderstand. I'm telling you what to expect. Depending on what you're spending your money on, what you're promoting is what you're buying. It's what you spend your money on. I'm not here to tell you what to spend your money on. That's your choice. Dan Lazaro says, I want these big chains to go out of business. Every one of these big chains started as a mom and pop. Think about that. And they were so good as a mom and pop, they became a big chain. And then they got so sloppy as a big chain, they went out of business. So like California Pizza Kitchen, I don't know how many owners that has changed hands with. White Castle is family owned and remains top quality, good value to this very day. Companies like Arby's wouldn't get involved in a movie about people, or Jack in the Box. People often, here in America, if they party all night and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and they need something to eat, they get munchies. White Castle was a popular place people went. So when the movie producers went to these food companies for Harold and Kumar go to fill in the blank, these big corporations said, we're not going to get involved with people acting irresponsibly. No, we want nothing to do with your movie, and you better not even mention us in your movie or we'll sue you. And White Castle said, we know people who have partied all night love to come to us. They're our best customers. Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. And White Castle's business went up. And all the big corporations shot themselves in the foot when they made the same offer. When Steven Spielberg approached M&M's and said, I want to use your product in this movie I'm making called E.T., M&M's said, we're not interested. And Steven Spielberg was like, crap, I was really thinking they were going to do that. Now what am I going to do? You know what he did, don't you? And if you ask, well, just for fun, let me try something. Let's come over here. I'm anticipating what this is going to say. Does Steven Spielberg eat M&Ms? They were originally his favorite candy. However, his loyalty famously shifted to Reese's Pieces due to a legendary Hollywood business blunder. Mars, who owns M&M's, one of the M's in M&M stands for Mars, said, no thanks, we're not interested. And Reese's Pieces were fairly new at the time compared to M&M's. And Spielberg to this day will say that Reese's Pieces are his favorite candy, and he's been eating them constantly on set for decades with E.T.'s success. Out of curiosity, is Mars still a family-owned? I think it is. Yep. Yep, it's 100% family-owned. So even family-owned can make a bad decision. Is White Castle family-owned? Yep. You know who's doing really well, although they don't have a lot of locations, is In-N-Out Burger. Is In-N-Out Burger family-owned? There might be something to put together here. Everybody that's doing really well and hasn't changed quality or, added all the greed are family-owned. But not all the family-owned companies follow that rule. But the ones that are following the rule are family-owned overall. So I think that's something worth consideration.
Yeah, email. Boy, I wish I could eat Reese's.
You wish you could eat Reese's Pieces?
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe after you phone home.
Check your email.
Check my email, she says. It'll be fun, she says. Did you know that managers... Hey, let me go back. Check this out. This might surprise you. Let me show you something. This may help it all make sense. How much does a manager of McDonald's make annually? Let's see if it assumes I'm talking about money. $35,000 to $90,000. And compared to In-N-Out Burger, $160,000 to $180,000 a year to be a general manager in In-N-Out Burger. White Castle, White Castle could scale past $91,000 to $119,000 if you include their compensation packages, bonuses, and profit sharing. Come on. If as an employee, where do you want to work? And as somebody eating, as a customer, where would you rather go? Who's got better quality food? Who's got better value? It all starts to make sense. When the companies treat their employees as a profit, as somebody to make money from, and they see their customers as someone to make money from, the only one who's happy with that deal are the executives, the C-suite, the CEO, the CIO, the CFO. The C-suite are the ones that love that deal, and the investors. Westside Lord sends us an Amazon gift card. Thanks for the great content. I just wanted to help support the channel. That's what he writes. Thank you so much, Westside Lord. We appreciate that very much. I just wish we had something to buy at Amazon right now, but we're sort of hoarding the money, waiting for something to come out. I got notification that the GLINet Comet KVM should be shipping, if it hasn't already, any day now. And the Cypede Nano Go should start shipping in the next 10 days, I think, maybe less. So when those units come in, we'll review them. We have a Mini PC from Cam Rui and a Mini PC from Minis Forum that are at that budget, Ultra 3 that we've never seen before. So whichever one comes first is what we'll review first. And there's a couple other things. We never heard back from Ace Magic regarding the NAS we sent in for repair. We followed up with them. We're getting no response. B-Link reached out and said, hey, we heard you're having a problem. Would you like to talk to our engineers? And I said yes, and they have not responded. So it's like they want to put on a show, but then they don't actually do anything. Oh, well, we reached out. Yeah, and I responded, and then you ghosted me again. They're playing a game, and I don't like playing games. Like, that's just, I don't get paid to play games. Not like that. And it's disrespectful to say words you don't mean to me. So they're liars. B-Link are liars. They lied to me, and as bad as they were before, they just made it worse by saying, oh, we really like to talk with you and make it right. And I go, okay, when? And then they don't answer me. So congratulations, B-Link, you poured fuel on a fire, proving the point even better than I could. Oh, what are they going to say? Are they going to respond again? Oh, sorry, we didn't get around to it. Well, I can see that. It's clearly not a priority to you, which is the point I was making in the video. At this point, that ship sailed. I'm done now. I'm done. So, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So as pissed off and disappointed as I was at B-Link, because they then extended a hand, and when I went to take it, they took it away like, psych. Now, you've just cemented it. So, holy crap, man. What else could they do to make it any worse? It's like, you tell somebody, would you stop doing that? And they go, okay, and then they still keep doing it. So the words were just meaningless noise. That means you can't trust that person, right? That's what it means to me. They're liars. They don't mean what they say. They have no dignity. They've got no personal honor. I don't want to do business with a company like that. You can if you want to, but I want you to know ahead of time. If you want to do business with them, have at it. Just think of all the B-Link Mini PCs we could have been reviewing and still could have reviewed if they acted professionally, if they didn't lie. So we'll see how long that works for them. It stopped working for me. How did the car look? So Dennis wants to know, how do car lots look in Phoenix? They're full of 2026 cars. I don't know. I don't drive by any car lots around me, so I have no idea. But I do watch car channels like Delivered and Car Edge, and they're saying all over the United States cars are sitting. And the dealers, so there's a very good channel called Delivered. And this young man, he's actually older than he looks. I think he's in his early 30s, but he looks like he's in his early 20s. Tommy. He negotiates cars for people as a business. He charges people $1,000 to car shop so they don't have to do it themselves. And then you don't have to deal with these arrogant jerks. And if there was ever an argument to be made, is he worth paying $1,000 to? When you watch him interact with these dealers, does that seem like something you'd want to do, or would it be worth $1,000 to not have to do that? He calls them on their lies. He calls them on their hidden fees. He calls all that out because he does this for a living. He knows exactly what the process is. He's not a broker. He's not buying the car. He's getting in writing the deal for you that you told him you wanted. You know, he'll tell you beforehand if that's a reasonable deal, we should be able to do that. And he'll make the calls to dealers around you, and if all the dealers around you are being, over the MSRP or hidden fees or dock fees that are outrageous, he'll ask you, if I could save you $4,000, but you have to drive 3 hours or 4 hours to go get the car. Is that worth it to you? Or spend $700 and we'll have the car put on a trailer and brought over here. The customer can say yes or no. And he'll go get you whatever the best price is in the United States. If that's what you want to do, and you might have to wait a little bit if maybe the car's not even on the lot yet. He can see what's coming into these lots and call them and negotiate and have it sold before it arrives. Get it all in writing and gives that to you, and then you finish it up with the dealer. You're good to go. You don't have to deal with any of it for $1,000. And he broadcasts these conversations over the phone live. And they are eye-opening to see the greed of these dealerships and how bold and aggressive they are. And how they'll say that what Tommy's doing should be illegal because he's ripping off people. Of all the nerve. And if that doesn't make you, like if that's not the best advertising Tommy ever had. But the YouTube channel is called Delivered. And boy, is it addictive to watch. And I just think, wow, I never want to go shopping for a car again because it's very relatable. You can tell this is not made up. You know me, I'm a big fan of live content that's genuine, it's real, and it's authentic. So there should be no surprise to you that I love that because it is live. It is real. And I can tell you, I've bought many cars and everything he's doing, there's always some little trick up their sleeve, and he's really good at snuffing it out and calling them out on it. And then listening to them squirm and come up with their excuses so adamantly, it's like, seriously, do you hear yourself? These car dealers are so embarrassing. And yeah, I would absolutely consider giving him the $1,000 and let him do it for me, just so I don't have to deal with it. David Graham said he changed a video card on a PC that he had that wasn't waking up properly, and now it works fine. Yeah, a lot of computers that you put to sleep, this has been going on for 20 plus years, don't wake up properly due to drivers. So if you have an older card and the drivers are out of date, it's likely, but computers that don't have batteries shouldn't be put to sleep anyway. At least it doesn't make any sense to put a computer to sleep if it doesn't have batteries in it. I can't make heads or tails of why people do that. But it's your computer, and you know, if you want to do that, and it bothers you so much you're willing to buy a new video card for it, that's you, but I wouldn't do it. On the other hand, you might have had another reason to upgrade the video card, and it may have just been sort of like, oh, and it also fixed this problem as a side, but it should have never been a problem you had because you shouldn't be using that. Unless your computer's running off batteries, it's not doing what you think it's doing. It's all an illusion. It's a psychological manipulation that you're choosing to believe in, and that's fine. Everybody's got preferences. They don't have to make any sense. We're humans, and sometimes we just do things for feelings rather than for logical reasons. So I'm not telling you you're doing anything wrong. Bay Area Free says, I see new cars sitting in San Francisco Bay Area just sitting there. Yeah. Well, it happened during the pandemic and they couldn't get the chips, right? It's all the same. Wheel just keeps going around. If you start noticing the patterns in life, the older you get, everything just keeps repeating. When I was younger and everything was new and exciting, and then I'm getting older and I'm like, oh, this again. Oh, this again. Oh, it's the same movie again. Oh, it's the same drama again. Oh, it's the same this. It's like, you know, what I wouldn't give to experience life so naively that, you know, wow, can you believe that this drama's happening? Yeah, I can. I've been around long enough. I've seen this over and over again. It's like a rerun. I know, it sounds terrible, but it's the curse of getting older. Andy says B-Link is still at the top or near the top best-selling consumer Windows Mini PC. I don't know if that's true. They do have a lot of models, and they had a great reputation. So if you'd have said that 2 years ago, I wouldn't doubt it. But today, let me see. And let's see what AI says about it. Just that, not that AI is foolproof, but I'm just curious. What is the best-selling mini PC in 2026? Apple, of course. Minis Forum, Geekom, GMK Tech, Camrui. The B-Link's not even in this list. Why is B-Link not in the list? Didn't they used to be? No, B-Link used to dominate, and they're still a massive player. They were not excluded from the market due to poor quality. Instead, a few specific shifts in their corporate strategy and online sales platforms explain why they did not make the absolute top of the 2026 bestseller list. Why does B-Link support site no longer work, and hasn't worked this entire year? And is that affecting sales when... I'll just leave it alone. Company migrated and restructured its web domains. Why did blink.com become b-link.com? A domain trademark conflict, cyber squatting trademark dispute. All right, well, that could happen to anybody. When they forced the entire network onto b-link, subsequently upgraded the website platform, they completely broke their legacy database structure. Why does their SEI 14 driver package, well, let's start with this. Why does B-Link's supports page require a name and password before you can get drivers? It's a website error. Why has the website error not been fixed in the last 8 months? Poorly configured automated site updates, regional server isolation, and a conscious decision to deprioritize web maintenance. The automated Ghost platform upgrade. B-Link uses an automated indexer. It's got a glitch. Why it persists is because it appears it is correctly hosted, meaning they remain completely unaware unless they try to download it as like a regular user instead of an employee. B-Link's management has largely stopped trying to maintain a large custom file server. So they want to sell you the product and rely on other people to support it. Are any other major mini PC makers doing this, or is it just B-Link? No, none of the other major mini PC brands are doing this. So why should B-Link be for sale, let alone be popular or be a bestseller? Explain it. Their hardware is exceptional for the price, even if their website management is completely broken. What good is the hardware if the advertised support is non-existent? The brand has lost the trust of mainstream consumers. From a practical consumer standpoint, incredible hardware is completely useless the moment it breaks if there's no functional support structure. Leaving a driver database broken for nearly a year is a catastrophic failure for an electronics company. Well, there you go. Yeah. I'm not going to question it because that's what I wanted to see. You got to be careful with this AI stuff and how you pose your questions. Because if you rephrase the question differently, it'll give you a different answer that's what you want to hear. So for example, if I, it's so stupid, but if I say, why is B-Link the #1 mini PC maker in the world? It isn't, but I'm just going to assume it is. So that'll respond as though it were true, right? Oh, it corrected me. That's pretty unusual. B-Link is not the #1 mini PC maker. Apple holds that title, followed closely by enterprise giants like HP, Dell, and Lenovo. Frequently, B-Link crowns the global e-commerce with Amazon bestseller charts. The paradox of how a company can dominate sales charts while ignoring its support infrastructure for 8 months comes down to a hyper-specific business model that turns traditional corporate rules on their head. Oof. They've been subcontracting their support burden to Amazon. And then, of course, TrigKey is their clone brand. Same thing under a different name. The self-sufficiency of tech influencers. Mini PCs are heavily driven by tech review channels on YouTube and forums like Reddit. Because these creators are tech savvy, they regularly praise B-Link hardware for its cool engineering and processing power, while effortlessly bypassing the broken driver site by, well, first of all, in my experience, they never mention it. But here it's saying they link parties to third-party driver mirrors. Why would it be against company policy for IT to source hardware drivers from a third party? Let's get away from the enthusiast. Let's go back to the professional. It is a high priority security violation. There's supply chain and malware risk. And there's also, what if the driver is just for a different version of what you have and it's causing errors and crashes? Because you put the wrong driver on because the third-party driver site said it was right and you believed it. And now you're stuck with the problem. And that employee can't work now. They can't be productive. So you've caused an entire company, potentially, on every computer you put this wrong driver on, to lose productivity because of you. So what do you think the company's going to do to fix this? One way might be to get rid of you. This really happened to me when Mara and I worked at the APS, Arizona Public Services, the largest electricity utility in the state of Arizona. And I was working there and she was working there and we crossed paths and here we are. At that time, a computer was brought to me from an employee in one of the departments. There's several departments, and it would randomly crash, and nobody could figure it out. And I was going to figure it out, and the person I reported to said, "You spent too much time on it. Just wipe it and reinstall it." And I said, no, the customer told me they didn't back up their stuff. I'm not going to wipe and reinstall it. And you might have heard me tell the story before. And he said, well, it's not our problem. That's his problem. And I said, no, I gave him my word. I'm not doing it. So he went to his boss and said I was being insubordinate. Not the first time. Surprise. So I called the customer. When I found out the person I reported to went to the department head, I called the customer, picked up the office phone. I called them at their desk. I said, hey, this is Carey, the computer technician that picked up your desktop. I'm still working on it and trying to figure it out. But they're telling me that they want me to wipe it and reinstall it. And I've told them you have data on there. And they said they don't care. And I would strongly encourage you to call my boss right now and stop this from happening because I'm powerless. There's nothing I can do. So then he called the boss's boss. And then I was called into the office for airing our dirty laundry to other departments, which was not appropriate. Customers love me. The managers, not so much, not usually. So I was like, I gave this man my word, all right? And I need to know what the solution is, because if we ever see it again, we'll document it. And what ended up happening shortly thereafter, I got another computer with the same problem. And what it was the company issued driver that we are directed to use via policy for the network cards, because back then the network cards were not built into motherboards. We kept sourcing the network cards from wherever they were getting them. That's not a part of my job, right? So here's the card for you to install. Here's the driver you are to use, and you follow corporate policy. You're not allowed to think on your own because you can cause the whole company to go down. So you follow policy. You will do it the same as everybody else. So one thing led to another, and I realized there was a newer driver for this network card. There was no internet back then. I don't remember how I did it. And I put the new driver on, and the blue screen error went away, the crash. I don't know, it was a blue screen. It was a crash. So then the next thing I did is I took the network card out and compared it to the network card on like my own machine that doesn't have the problem, never had the problem. And the cards were identical, except there was a revision number written on the circuit board that was not the same. One was newer, the other one was older. Otherwise, they looked identical. And the old driver for the old revision would work on the newer revision board, but it wouldn't work reliably. Once I documented my discovery and I put it up the chain, to my boss, here's the problem. We're going to keep seeing this as we deploy these new computers with this new revision of network cards. You guys, your purchaser, who's ever buying these, didn't do their research, and we're getting the same make and model of network card, but they've revised it and no one said anything. And here's what the old card looks like, and here's what the new card, I don't know that I said here's what it looks like, but here's what it says, and here's what it says now. And if you update the driver, the new driver works on the old card, but the driver for the old card doesn't work on the new one. It partially works, but it's causing these crashes. And that went out as a new policy company-wide. So every technician in the IT department was aware of it. We could fix it right from deployment, preventing it from happening. And anything that was already deployed, the help desk could service it before it had a problem. And do you know what I got for that? Nothing. Not an apology, not a good job. Just like, okay, that was it. Like they didn't care. So when it comes to sourcing drivers from third parties, this is the kind of thing, even if it's not a virus or malware, it could be something like that causes a problem with the system running really slow or crashing, losing reliability. You just don't know. And when it's affecting an entire company, or if it's even affecting one employee that you caused it, it's just a matter of time before that comes back to bite you on the butt. And then you're going to have a review, and your boss is going to say, it looks like you went back to a computer for the same problem 3 times. Tell me about that. I never wanted to be in that position. I'd rather spend as much time as it takes to fix the problem and only visit it once. So instead, my review would be, it looks like you're pretty fast in getting these computers fixed, but this one took you 3 days. Why? Tell me about that. And then I can tell them with pride instead of embarrassment. I'd say, we had an unusual undocumented problem, and I wasn't going to let it go until I found a solution and documented it for the rest of the department. And they might say, that's not your job. And I'd say, yes, it is. Absolutely. My job was to fix it. It may be someone else's job to validate, but they clearly fell down on the job. And if nobody's auditing them, how would you know? Otherwise, I would have to keep revisiting the same problem again. I didn't do it for you. I did it for me. Keep that in mind for your promotion or raise. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Andy says, I found the BIOS reset hole in the A-Dreamer. It was waking up at midnight every night after reinstalling Windows. Oh, that's a weird one. And I guess the BIOS reset fixed it? All right, well, the chat room looks pretty quiet, so. Mark Leibowitz says, I thought I was gonna have a B-Link warranty case to report about, but the client's problems all turned out to be driver related, so I will not be returning the Mini PC, which is now working fine. Yeah, that sounds pretty common. If you want to learn more about the history of companies, their rise and fall, there's a gentleman, he's about my age, a little younger than me, but my generation, the tell it like it is generation. Michael Girdley. If you look up Michael Girdley on YouTube, he walks while he's holding a camera and tells a story. I don't know how he's memorizing everything, but maybe he's got a script. I have no idea how he's doing it. And he breaks it all down with facts. So here's what happened to this company. Here's how it started. Here's how it all began. Here's where they did great. Here's where they went off the rails. I love stuff like that because it's real. It's factual, verifiably factual. He's not biased about the information. Girdley is Girdley. There's one thing you're going to find is a common thing with me, and that is I love facts that can be proven versus biases that are emotional. I don't care about biases. I care about honesty, especially on the internet. It's so rare. But what I can tell you about honesty on the internet, what I have found is when you find that channel that's honest, they usually stay that way. So if Michael Girdley is being honest and spitting facts, he likely will continue to do so. If Delivered is exposing the dealer's sneakiness or hidden fees, none of that's ever made up. It likely never will be. That's who these people are. I always tell you, consider the source of your information. Even if it's something like PC World Magazine. They're no longer professional journalists. They're now enthusiasts. And they're not even getting properly proofread oftentimes, where they're just copying and pasting information that doesn't even apply in the United States. They'll say, well, at the bottom of the article, this was originally published at PC Welt, which is the German PC World Magazine. And it doesn't translate to America, but they published it anyway. Look at this. Look at it. I know I'm trying to wrap this up, but I got to show you this. I don't want you to take my word for it. Here we're talking about AI watermarks. We already told you why this is preposterous. Every news company is copying and pasting this, but nobody's ever demonstrating it. And nobody's explained that the AI watermarks are unique for each AI company, and they don't change information, and they're secret, they're hidden, and there's no way to expose them. So, yeah. Great article. Appreciate it. Fear-mongering at its best. Okay. Somewhere down here. So much of this is advertising now, disguised as an article. CNN does that. This is an ad. Let's keep going. This is a bizarre article talking about how you can use Microsoft Teams to share your screen, but why not just teach people how to use remote access like Rust Desk or something? But nope, they don't mention that. A Wi-Fi extender is a terrible idea. It just takes a weak signal and boosts a weak signal. So let's just pretend, if we oversimplify this for easy understanding, that the antenna on the left is grabbing your signal from your router that's only 2 bars, but the antenna on the right is reaching your laptop a few feet away at 5 bars. So that means between your laptop and the device, you've got a 5-bar signal, but between the device and your router, it's still a 2-bar signal. And if you got rid of this device, you'd probably still get a 2-bar signal on your laptop. And by the way, the left side is broadcasting and overlapping on top of the source signal, muddying that traffic and making it even worse. But yeah, it's only $35. Jesus. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Those apps now launch faster. Yeah, everybody grabbed onto this story because of the Windows updates. Okay, this is one of my favorite. 9 cheap or free ways to make your old PC run faster. What do? Throw it out the window and look how fast it goes? That's free. Let's see, what free things can we do? With shortages of RAM and storage, what are the free things we can do? Well, we can minimize things starting at startup or remove things we don't need. Okay. Empty your recycle bin. Okay. Do a security sweep. Okay. Dust it. Yeah, okay. Reinstall Windows. Okay. What else can we do? Overclock or undervolt? No. Don't have money for new gear? How about setting it on fire? Oh, that doesn't say it. Oh, what happened? Page unresponsive. Okay, install an SSD. Oh, is that free? Is that cheap? So that's not 9 ways. Now we're down to 8 ways because that doesn't. Duh. Spend some money and buy some new hardware that we told you didn't have to do at the top of the article. Now we're going to tell you, well, you could do this too. Okay. Change your operating system. Yeah. Okay. It's free. If you've got all the time in the world. Oh boy. I don't know why this keeps happening. Anyway, there are articles that they're publishing that are so disconnected from reality that it appears nobody is proofreading them and nobody is validating them for how relatable is this information to our readers. They used to have people like Gordon Ma-Ung and Will Smith, and actually Will Smith may still be there, I don't know. But not the actor, the editor. And these people were really good writers and really understood the technology. I don't know if they ever professionally worked in the industry, but you could have fooled me if they didn't. And now, they're absolutely not working in the industry, nor have they ever. Not a single one of them has a clue how anything outside of a consumer household works. So it's not really the PC world it used to be, because it used to be a little of both, and now it's completely just consumer sided. And that's their choice if they want to do that, but that's not how it used to be, and I'm sure that those people are a lot less expensive to pay since they don't have the expertise that I'm sure that an expert in the industry costs more. I imagine that's why it's going on. I am so disappointed. Ron Tomey says, I need to tell a joke because it's Friday. A joke, you say? Do you know why ducks have feathers? It's to cover up their butt quacks. Are you happy? You asked for it. All right, guys, I think that'll wrap it up for today. So thank you again for hanging out with me. I hope you're having a great Friday. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of your Friday. Andy says it's been an interesting and fun live stream as usual. Thank you, Carey and Mara. Thank you, Andy. Thanks to each and every one of you and all our friends in green. And of course, Craig Casabona, thank you for your super chat. And to, let me check my phone. Our friend Buster, as always, for the Amazon gift card, and Westside Lord for the Amazon gift card as well. You are our sponsors here, right? So you don't have to worry about us having a bias. If I tell you how much I like minis for them, it's because I actually like minis for them. What a shock. So if you were a paying customer of mine and you said, hey, we need a computer for home or office, and we needed to do this, that, and the other, but we don't want one of these big towers, if we can save some money, is there a recommendation that you stand behind that you'll support? Minis Forum will be mentioned. It's not that they're the only ones, but it's in my best interest to make sure that you're a happy customer. And you know, I can't build a mini PC if I wanted to. So if I'm going to build one for myself, or rather if I'm going to buy one for myself, you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to be from Minis Forum. Unless if I just need a machine that just kind of sits off to the side to run a task, like maybe I'm making my home OpenSense router or something. You know, nothing wrong with the Ace Magics and the Camruis. Nothing wrong with those at all. Or if somebody says, hey, I'm a home user and I have very simple needs, and I don't want to spend, you know, whatever, it's fine. Camrui, very budget based. I have no problem recommending them. But over and above the selection and the pricing, nobody comes close to Minis Forum, and the support too. So we're very lucky. I feel lucky that of all the companies to be friends with, I happen to pick the right one in this space. I'm glad it's not Asus. I'm glad it's not Lenovo. I'm glad we're working with Minis Forum, because they're the underdog that's overperforming, and they need the attention. They deserve it, and consumers deserve to be aware of it, to make an informed purchasing decision to see if that aligns with their values, because I think it does. William Kaiser says memory is cheap. That's my joke. Hey, just make more money. Andy says right now I'm a Minis Forum guy. Why wouldn't you be? David Graham said memory's so expensive I can't remember. Let me go to Gemini again. Tell me a joke about computer RAM being expensive. All right, let's see what Gemini has for us for today. Those don't even make sense. I need funnier. Let's see. I know you're not seeing the screen. I'm saving you. I opened 32 tabs in Chrome today, not to browse the web, just to flex on my landlord. Buying RAM right now is a great lesson in financial literacy. You trade real memory for the painful core memory of looking at your bank statement. Let's say more edgy. Chrome consuming all of your RAM used to be a software bug. Now it's just financial abuse. How about this for a dating profile? I'm looking for a partner who owns 128 gigabytes of DDR5. Not because I care about gaming. I just need a sugar daddy who can afford luxury goods. I told my therapist I'm struggling with terrible memories. She asked if I wanted to talk about my childhood, and I said, no, I'm talking about the $400 receipt for 32 gigs of RAM. We should leave the joke telling to the humans. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll be back live on Sunday. What do I have Sunday? What do I have on Sunday? I don't know yet. I'm sure that'll please Mara to no end when I tell her 3 hours before broadcast time. If there's subject matter you want us to discuss or demonstrations of how things work, routers, networking, file sharing, whatever, reach out to us at our email address, which I'll put right up here on the screen. Uh-oh, Mara's coming.
I just wanted to say, one of those jokes, I actually was laughing.
Which one?
The one about the RAM being a luxury item.
Sugar daddy joke?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Oh, not surprised. For some reason. Let's see. Yeah, please do hit the like button and subscribe if you're not already. Where's my yikes. I guess they don't overlap. Again, there's the email address if you want to reach out. We love to hear from you guys, so reach out anytime. Also, thank you, of course, to VIP-URCDKEYs. This is activated now. Painless, easy. It'll stay activated. So, what else? Thanks to Mara for all the work she does, getting our video descriptions done. She makes all these thumbnails by her. You know, she does it by hand. What else? Thanks to everybody in green for supporting us here. You are our sponsors and why we can continue to do this. For everybody not in green, we appreciate your company and being part of this community. Again, we make these videos for everyone, and they're made possible by the people in green. If I get the Camry or the Mini PC between now and Sunday, guess what Sunday's show is going to be? We'll see. I just don't know when I know they're shipping them, but whether or not they're shipped or where they're shipping from, they don't tell me. So it could be today, it could be next week. That's the status of the industry right now. Tomorrow, if you're looking for great content, tech content to watch, Doug Betts will be live and interacts like I do at live Windows training with Doug Betts. He only does that on Saturdays. Our friend over in the UK, Mike's Unboxing, he also goes live and interacts with his audience on Saturdays. He'll fill out the rest of the week with recorded content in shorts. As far as I know, that's his schedule. And he usually starts his show right as Doug Betts ends his show. So you know what I do Saturdays, right? I'm watching Doug Betts, and then I'm watching Mike's Unboxing. And that's Saturday morning cartoons for me. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, like, in my childhood, I had that to look forward to. and these shows do come on. Doug starts earlier. Usually he's already running before I'm out of bed, but and then Mike's unboxing after that, and then after that I get out of bed. Thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Sunday, or maybe I'll catch you in the chat room over at Doug Betts or Mike's unboxing videos tomorrow. So until Sunday, bye for now.